Daí você me fala. Ok, perfeito. Bom dia a todas. Sou Darren Coleman Milling, trombonista baixo solista da Orquestra Sinfônica do Estado de São Paulo. E estamos aqui no meu último dia de aulas, dia 6 de março, às 9h06 da manhã.
Bom dia a
Gostaria
todos.
de agradecer assim, a direção Davidson de Souza e a nossa coordenação aqui na sala, o Vinícius e o demais equipe de CIVEBRA pelo excelente desempenho na gestão do curso internacional de verão, sabe, de Brasília. Estamos aqui hoje de manhã justamente para completar, sabe, esse programa bem amplo que eu criei com pouco tempo de aviso, mas devido à colaboração de todos os artistas convidados que nós recebemos ao longo desses últimos 2 meses, eu acabei preenchendo realmente um conteúdo programático, assim, levando pessoas de diversas experiências e cargos e posições renomados, de conjuntos renomados ao redor do mundo, inclusive, sabe, colegas da Europa, sabe, muitos com certeza dos Estados Unidos e do Brasil, sabe. Eu achei muito importante de diversificar e compartilhar, sabe, alguns exemplos de excelência. Ontem abri uma grande surpresa, eu acho, para a comunidade de trombones, esse coletivo de trombonistas baixos que estão juntos desde... Ei, bom dia, Jackson. Assim, a gente abriu esse grande negócio sobre o novo coletivo brasileiro de trombone, tem uma parte de trombone baixo. E nós somos juntos, gente, sabe, os trombonistas baixos das principais orquestras, assim, digo, em termos de, assim, da grandeza da gestão, importância, sabe, regional que cada um, sabe, tem. E eu fiquei muito feliz de ver meus colegas e compartilhar, sabe, um pouco. Cada um, sabe, tinha, sabe, uns 30 minutos, sabe, para vir apresentar, sabe, para gente ao longo dessas 2 últimas semanas. Estou referindo todos os convidados. E esse coletivo, claro, que fica um pouquinho mais, porque estamos em 8, sabe, pessoas. A gente ficou um pouquinho mais tempo ontem. So, como eu prometi, hoje, sendo o último dia, eu confesso para vocês, eu conversei com a direção e eu fiquei devendo a vocês. Eu fiquei devendo que, assim, eu fiquei devendo, eu acho, uma artista ou a referência da área popular e de jazz. Eu não tinha pensado, sabe, no primeiro modo de buscar alguém, não por falta de interesse ou não para, sabe, ou porque eu não valorizo sim, sabe. Eu mesmo gosto muito de música popular e com certeza de jazz, sabe, como que não posso. Eu cresci também, como o Joe Alessi falou, eu cresci ouvindo, engraçado, ele citou os 3, assim, conjuntos artistas que ele sempre ouviu repetitivamente o tempo todo. Ele falou do J.J. Johnson, ele falou assim, do conjunto de metais que eles juntaram realmente as orquestras da Filadélfia, a orquestra de Cleveland, a orquestra de Chicago e a Filarmônica de Nova York. Isso foi no final da década de 60. E também ele falou do projeto maravilhoso dos metais graves, assim, do Chicago. sabe? O naipe de metais do Chicago, a Orquestra Sinfônica de Chicago, gravou um disco que, assim, mudou para todo mundo, sabe? Porque foi literalmente os melhores, sabe, artistas da actuação naquele momento, gravando trechos orquestrais juntos, também música de câmara, para essa mesma formação. E isso inspirou muitas coisas, inclusive inspirou meu próprio conjunto, Low Brass Project. E eu tenho honra que foi meu professor, Glenn Dodson, que era, sabe, membro dessa naipe, que até, assim, me guiou, sabe, na criação desse conjunto, que até eventualmente virou uma empresa e virou até uma sociedade até. Um, Nós temos diversas ações e colaborações dessa entidade, chama Low Brass Project. Um, e eu confesso, eu sou como um empreendedor, eu sou meio preguiçoso. Eu gosto de fazer as coisas acontecem, eu gosto de fazer as colaborações, mas eu não sou muito assim de ficar sentado e para preencher e resolver todas as questões administrativas. Eu estou sempre voando, sabe? Mas eu tenho assistentes, sabe, que me ajudam muito quando eu preciso. E eu estou grato, sabe, para elas todas. Bom, como eu prometi, hoje o programa é que essa primeira parte vocês vão passar comigo. E aí, o meu último convidado para CIVEBRA 2021 será Dion Tucker. Dion Tucker, assim, é difícil colocar ele dentro de uma caixa. Ele é um artista, sabe? Um artista, pedagogo, sabe? Assim, grande professor, assim, pelo que eu vejo. Ele é uma pessoa inspirada de até valorizar a comunidade das minorias, mulheres, tanto, sabe, negros na profissão. Ele ele é um grande jazzista, sabe, artista. Ele toca com a banda do Wynton Marsalis, veio para o Brasil, inclusive. Mas também tem algo que ele tem passado, ele sofreu o problema de distônia, provavelmente devido, assim, uma vida bem agitada lá, sabe? Qualquer musicista que toca uma orquestra ou tem uma sequência, sabe, de atividades ao longo do tempo, pode realmente sofrer entre várias lesões, sabe, corporal, pode sofrer também problemas, assim, até psicológicos, você entende? Ele passou por um processo interessante. Vamos ver o que ele vai compartilhar. O que eu posso te dizer é que ele é uma pessoa muito organizada, sabe? Eu gosto muito o que ele, a maneira em que ele se apresenta. Ele tem uma natureza, sabe, com instrumento e tudo. Bom, chega. Eu vou começar agora. Eu tinha compartilhado com vocês o do Warm Up from Hell, certo? Que todo mundo tem. E aí eu cheguei a demonstrar, sabe, para vocês, sabe, um pouco. E eu queria, sabe, para quem que está, só para saber, eu estou aqui na sala, se não me engano, 7 participantes, inclusive eu e o próprio coordenador. Vamos lá, talvez 5 participantes que estão aqui. Alguém aqui está com o instrumento? Tá. O reitor não recebeu. Vinícius, você está na linha?
Tô sim.
Você conseguiria reencaminhar aquela imagem do Warm Up from Hell para eles? Ou dentro desse grupo? Eu mandei para você por celular, com certeza. Deixa eu ver se eu ainda tenho Aí qualquer coisa eu mando para você de novo. Ah, tá. Bom, eu achei aqui. Quer que eu te mando de novo?
Se você puder me enviar, eu já coloco aqui para eles.
É. Ok. Mandei.
Ok, já vou colocar aqui na tela.
So, agora eu vou compartilhar com vocês aqui. Só um minutinho. Ok, so agora eu vou abrir aqui, eu vou compartilhar a tela rapidamente para explicar algo. Eu ainda tenho essa capacidade, Vinícius, para compartilhar a tela?
Tem sim.
Ok,
Eu coloquei no chat já para o pessoal também.
ok, muito obrigado. So, vamos lá, gente. So, ok. Eu estou compartilhando com vocês agora só para vocês entenderem como eu organizasse, sabe, os meus trabalhos ao longo, sabe, do tempo. Inclusive, eu coloquei isso aqui, foi adotada quando eu ainda era presencial lá na CIVEBRA. So, é uma, sabe, planilha, assim, que tem mais ou menos, assim, sabe, a agenda. Isso foi, bom, 37, sabe, essa foi a última edição que eu tinha participado. Aí tinha, assim, as aulas, sabe, programadas aqui, entendeu? So, ou seja, eu tinha mais ou menos três ideias presencialmente. Aula coletiva, orientação sobre o instrumento, condicionamento físico, estudos para iniciantes até nível médio. Bom, esses itens a gente, sabe, meio cobriu realmente na semana passada, falando sobre a questão do histórico, sabe, dos instrumentos. Tanto eu e também um dos convidados fizemos realmente a questão de condicionamento físico. Aí a gente falou sobre a questão de orientação, sabe, para nível médio até avançado. Teve diversos assuntos, sabe, que foram abordados ao longo do tempo. Preparação para concurso, assim, a gente conversou e vários os nossos convidados conversamos sobre essa questão, mas eu vou aprofundar só um pouquinho nesse assunto com vocês hoje, porque eu achei assim, diante uma realidade aqui no Brasil e também depois da minha experiência na USES, eu gostaria só de compartilhar alguns pensamentos e estratégias para você futuro. Repertório orquestral, bom, a gente tinha uma disciplina em que juntava as aulas de trombones com o tuba, para a gente poder, e euphonium, para a gente montar um naipe para realmente trabalhar nos repertórios orquestrais, sabe? Porque eu acho importante que vocês aprendam isso tanto antes dentro do naipe. E mesmo sem orquestra. Aí, música de câmara. Essa aqui, realmente, assim, eu apresentei diversos conceitos, etc. Eu queria, sabe, compartilhar algumas coisas, mas, assim, vocês têm amplo acesso de YouTube para assistir, sabe, tanto que você quiser. So, mas eu vou, sabe, fazer um compartilhamento de algo, sabe, para mim não é muito longo. Bom, e hoje, inclusive, vai ter a apresentação online virtual de CIVEBRA. Eu recomendo que vocês assistam. Tem uma novidade ali, vídeo que não foi lançado ainda em nenhum lugar, que você não vai encontrar. So, e tem outra do Duo das Américas, para quem que já conhece essa dupla da professora Débora Fernandes Nilsson, lá em Brasília, e eu. Bom, essa aqui foi, sabe, a organização que eu fiz, sabe, com os alunos individualmente. Essa aqui, sabe, objetivos e recursos. Aqui a gente, sabe, eu tinha colocado diversas informações aqui para vocês. Okay, os métodos. So, here we go. So, eu quero ver isso de forma diferente, mas sei lá. High panel. Okay, whatever. Okay, so, métodos. Bom, em primeiro lugar, eu queria só enfatizar algo que pode ser até meio óbvio para alguns, mas depois de muitas experiências aqui no Brasil, eu resolvi, assim, fazer uma lista de coisas que os alunos teriam que, sabe, manter, sabe, na sua pessoa e com certeza levar, sabe, para qualquer aula, seminário. Espero que vocês conseguem ver isso. So, borrifador de água, sabe, óleo para as válvulas, sabe, creme para válvula, flanelas, sabe, espelho médio, sabe, isso é uma coisa que eu recomendo, um espelho se você tiver, caderno, lápis e borracha, sabe, afinador e metrônomo, máquina de gravador, ok? De qualquer tipo. Aí sobre as aulas, sabe, básico do instrumento, manutenção do instrumento, estudos fundamentais, repertório e história do trombone baixo. So, embora que eu estava sempre dando aula para trombones tenores, tubas, etc., mas eu sempre fiz questão de aprofundar no trombone baixo por razões óbvias. Desde ontem, agora todo mundo está sabendo sobre a questão do... Você sabe que eu acho que vou excluir isso aqui. Como é que eu faço? Ocultar, excluir coluna. Perfeito. Eu acho que não tem nada aqui. Não tem nada. Vou excluir. Perdão. Bom, ok. So, programa de estudos. So, esse realmente são as referências, sabe, de material. Ok? So, isso que realmente eu passo para os alunos dos meus estudos. So, o Blair Bollinger, uso das duas válvulas, que a gente tinha conversado bastante. Marsteller, Robert L. Marsteller, frequências da afinação. Excelente. O Charles Vernon, a singing approach. Olha, teve muitos trombonistas online tentando cantar. Aí o Charlie Vernon escreveu um livro absolutamente adequado para essa coisa, para ajudar pessoas com esse processo. Edward Kleinhammer, The Art of Trombone Playing. Não foi falado muito, sabe, depois desse primeiro dia, mas eu achei importante anotar que esse livro está escrito desde a década de 60 ou 70 e até hoje não tem ninguém que superou, sabe, o conteúdo desse livro. É um livro excelente e meu professor que viveu até 2007, ele mesmo falou que para ele sabe, depois desse livro não tinha mais para complementar, porque se trata realmente de questão física. Para complementar mais do que esse livro, você teria que encontrar a sexta dimensão. So, aí você tem os exercícios do Charlie Vernon, sabe, nas sequências aqui, ok? So, que eu compartilho, ok? E aí o do Arbans, que o Joe Alessi falou. So, aí mais do Kleinhammer. E olha só, eu tenho até, sabe, os exercícios tão específicos que eu estou indicando aqui. So, do Arbans, exercícios de língua dupla são fantásticos. Mas do língua triplo, eu gosto mais do Edward Kleinhammer. Aí, assim, estudos para trombone tenor, sabe, essas páginas. So, eu tinha realmente, sabe, Blazevich, Schlossberg, ou seja, eu tenho um programa completo. Mas como vocês, sabe, descobriram durante suas experiências, é muito difícil de tratar com o pessoal tocando, sabe? Essa realmente é a deficiência, sabe, de encontro virtual. Mas o que eu resolvi fazer era de proporcionar e trazendo realmente pessoas que eu já sabia que realmente vão zelar por esse material. Você entende? Quase tudo que todos os professores em algum momento citaram está aqui, sabe, no meu conteúdo programático. Por isso eu queria mostrar para vocês. Atividade física, bom, isso a gente sabe tinha falado, sabe, sessão de alongamento, sessão cardio, sessão fortalecimento. Eu vou falar um pouquinho sobre isso. Então, aí repertório orquestral, bom, aí tem essa lista aqui. Essa lista, inclusive, se eu não me engano, deixa eu só verificar se eu consigo abrir. Yep, yeah, essa lista eu já compartilhei, inclusive. So, okay. Perfeito. So, all right, so if I want to, yeah, I'm going to go back. Okay. So, essa lista já estava, sabe, compartilhado. Repertório orquestral, sabe? Aí as listas dos repertórios principais, sabe? Para vocês saberem. Eu também vou excluir essa coluna. Excluir. Ok? So, se eu tiver com vocês juntos, o repertório que eu ia passar são os mesmos repertórios que nós passamos, sabe, no Conservatório de Curtis, nos Estados Unidos, tanto, sabe, no New World Symphony, que é uma academia. Se vocês lembram, o Joe Alessi falou que até para entrar no New World Symphony, que é não é uma orquestra profissional, New World Symphony. New World Symphony é uma academia, só que uma academia completa, que é uma orquestra mesmo, e aí a administração eles traz os professores que eles selecionam cautelosamente, sabe, com muito cuidado, eles trazem esses professores para fazer alguns trabalhos. Ralph Sauer foi lá, Doug Yeo, Joe Alessi, John Engelkes, sabe, Sam Palafian, quando ele estava vivo, sabe, teve diversos professores de grande nome, mas também a gente tinha acesso de outros professores de outras disciplinas, que foi fantástico. Normalmente o repertório que eu ia passar seria isso, sabe, eu acho essas duas sinfonias de Brahms, sabe, sinfonias número 2 e 4, justamente porque tem certas características, assim, que em termos de estilo, sabe, diferente entre o próprio Brahms. O sexto de Mahler, sabe, pelo o tamanho e também dos detalhes, sabe, se você for estudar o Gustav Mahler, vocês vão descobrir que, além de ser um compositor, ele era muito inteligente e formado sobre instrumentos, sabe, que estavam sendo desenvolvidos. Ele também, tanto Strauss, eles acompanhavam realmente o grande desenvolvimento de construção, sabe, de metais. Bom, música de câmara, sabe, até tenho, sabe, repertórios que eu ia, sabe, listar. Ou seja, eu sempre vejo com conteúdo, uma programação completa. Eu tenho esse tipo de documento em diversas, vamos dizer que assim, o formato para mim, para trabalhar, parece igual, mas o conteúdo varia, sabe, de um festival para o outro, ou para uma instituição para outra. Hoje em dia eu compartilho mais isso, sabe, nos últimos tempos com instituições estrangeiras, sabe, onde eu estou tendo mais chamada. Bom, enfim, eu queria só here we go, fazer isso. So, falando desse exercício, eu só queria ressaltar, sabe, mais uma vez, sabe, algumas coisas. So, em primeiro lugar, o exercício pode ser qualquer. Eu apresentei esse exercício, mas eu acho muito importante que vocês entendam que é apenas uma ferramenta, ok? E nada demais. So, da minha rotina, quando eu tiver, sabe, o tempo sossegado, eu não estou correndo atrás das crianças, ou respondendo algumas demandas da casa, ou eu não estou sentado preparando, sei lá, para sair por algum motivo. Normalmente, o ideal para mim, eu vou ser sucinto, sabe? Só vou explicar o meu processo depois de ter recebido orientações e instruções de tantos dos meus professores. So, um, eu busco primeiro de assim de essa questão que a Tainá falou de, sabe, de relaxamento, e alongamento. A primeira coisa que eu comecei a fazer recentemente na verdade não recentemente, mas é de fazer uma sequência. Eu estou aqui dentro de um estúdio sentado, mas normalmente eu ia ficar em pé. Mas dá para fazer o que eu vou fazer, sabe, sentado também. Vamos supor que vocês têm um espaço mínimo, pequeno, seu, ok? Um, so, uma coisa que eu gosto de fazer é estendendo minhas mãos, sabe, na minha frente assim, e eu faço realmente uma abertura. Braços realmente, sabe? Ok? Só para acordar, nada forçado. E uma coisa que, lembra que o Joe falou que realmente eu concordo, sabe? Nada forçado. Aí, com os mesmos braços, sabe? Eu levanto assim para cima. Aí, o que eu vou fazer? Eu vou, sabe? Se fosse asas de uma passarinho, eu faço assim. E olha só, respira de novo. Vocês percebem como realmente, assim, esses movimentos realmente permitem para abrir o tórax, entende? Para você respirar mais. Ok? Perfeito. Aí, fazendo assim, respira, puxa, respira, ok? Sopra, ok? Aí também eu comecei a fazer isso porque isso foi algo que a Tainá apresentou que ajuda para faz o fortalecimento, ok? E também lubrificação de todas as cartilagens, sabe? Atrás das suas costas e também, sabe, do ombro. O que eu faço? Aí com os braços assim, ok? Aí eu vou fazer sabe? Ok? Isso acaba lubrificando uma parte que está meio chato do nosso corpo, mas que a gente usa o tempo todo, ok? Aí depois alternando, ok? É isso mesmo, ok? Muito bom. Aí depois pega realmente os ombros por trás, algumas rodadas, aí para frente, ok? Eu estou fazendo tudo mais, sabe, curto e sucinto, sabe? Estou fazendo uma sequência só para vocês terem uma ideia, sabe, como eu faço. Bom, a questão de cabeça, de pescoço, muito importante. Aí eu vou realmente, assim, baixar a cabeça, dar uma rodada, 2 vezes uma direção, outro, ok? Aí, olhando para lá, olhando para cá, ok? Ok? Basicamente, sabe, suficiente. Exercício, sabe, vamos dizer, de respiração. Embora que isso foi um assunto muito engraçado, eu adorei o fato que o Joe Alessi demonstrava literalmente da mesma forma do Wagner Politzer. O Wagner até foi ainda mais sucinto porque ele não falou nada. Ele simplesmente demonstrava, sabe, assim, basicamente é isso, gente. A gente não está fazendo isso, não. Eu não vou saquear vocês, mas vou te apresentar, sabe, um exercício, sabe, só para vocês entenderem, sabe, as variações que eu gosto de fazer. Está no 60, tá? Ok. eu começo assim do básico, mas enquanto que eu estou fazendo, primeiro é muito importante que você se mantenha absolutamente relaxado e perceba os pulmões, ok? Perceba os seus pulmões. Mais nada. Eu até recomendo a sentar justamente para vocês, sabe, não ficar usando esforços da perna, sabe, sei lá. Mas, Paulinho, fica à vontade. Mas eu só estou explicando, mas dá para sim, para fazer em pé, sabe? Eu estou fazendo isso porque onde eu estou, eu não tenho muito espaço aqui, ok? Mas também, se eu for ficar na sala, minhas crianças vão ficar todo por cima de mim. So, here we go. Aí, variação 1. So, eu vou puxar o ar, ou seja, eu vou enxugar o ar para 3 contagens, e aí eu vou soprar, sabe, o ar no quarto tempo. Ok? Agora você pode fazer o contrário. Você pode soprar o ar para 3 tempos e aí enxugar ou respirar pelo o quarto tempo só. So, here we go. Ok? Entendeu? So, olha, são apenas 2 variações de dezenas que você poderia fazer. O ponto é que esse tempo todo você está percebendo o movimento dos seus pulmões como uma ferramenta ativa, em que você realmente tem que ativar para fazer tudo, porque para você tocar trombone, a sua primeira ferramenta é os seus primeiros ferramentas. Ferramenta é masculino ou feminino? Pulmões.
Feminino, ferramentas.
Ok. So, suas primeiras ferramentas são os seus pulmões, certo? Ok? So, nesse caso, é importante que você, sabe, acostuma de realmente fazer isso. Eu gostei muito que o senhor Matt Vaughn, sabe, tinha falado realmente sobre essa questão de exercendo sopro, se fosse realmente estar tocando. So, aí eu tenho até dentro do meu exercício uma sequência fazendo exatamente isso. So, eu vou fazer. Desculpa, eu estava só vendo o tempo. So, para complementar esses exercícios que eu acabei de mostrar, eu vou fazer uma coisa básica. So, pensa em uma sequência de triplos. So, da, 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 da. Breathe. So, é um compasso de 5, tá? Da, 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 da. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, da, 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 da. So, 3 sequências de key altas. A última é o, sabe, semínima. E você respira no quinto tempo. So, here we go. Na verdade, na hora que você faz isso, você deve ser exausto, sabe? Todo o ar deve, sabe, sair do seu corpo. E lembra que o Matt Vaughn falou, a mesma coisa que eu falaria. Não tenta, sabe, não tenta compartilhar, ou sabe, o seu ar em fragmentos. Essa não é a ideia, não. A ideia é para você acostuma de fazer seu ar acompanha todo tipo de ritmo que você pode encontrar tocando trombone. Por quê? As primeiras ferramentas são, ok? So, mais uma vez. Ok? Entendeu? So, simplesmente exercendo isso, sabe, diariamente, vai desenvolver um hábito que você deve levar ao instrumento, ok? So, chegando no instrumento, um pouquinho sobre essa polêmica de buzzing. Eu acho muito engraçado isso, porque, de fato, não deve existir isso. Eu acho assim, entre uma comunidade de ilustres professores e acadêmicos, sabe, ao longo das últimos, sabe, séculos, esse assunto deveria ter, deveria ter, não, deveria ser explicado e entendido por todos e dentro do contexto correto. Só que acontece? As pessoas às vezes exageram. E isso é normal. Isso faz parte dessa falta de planejamento de estudos. E para quem que estava assistindo ontem, o Adib até referiu uma prática que eu faço normalmente presencialmente com os alunos, e essa é a questão do... desculpa, se deletar alguma coisa aqui. Ok, perfeito. Ele referiu sobre essa coisa que eu sempre fiz com meus alunos. Ele faz um planejamento dos estudos. Sem planejamento, sabe, se fosse você, sabe, sei lá, você tem uma agenda da semana, você planeja quando você vai encontrar com um amigo, você planeja quando você vai ter que, sabe, sei lá, ficar com a criança, ou, sabe, lavar louça, ou ir para o médico. Por que não planejar seus estudos? Entendeu? So, eu não estou falando de programar quando você vai estudar e fazer qualquer coisa, óbvio, sabe? Mas a questão é de ficar de ficar atenta com, se você tem 15 minutos, ok, o que você vai fazer por 15 minutos? Tem 20, ótimo, 30, uma hora, etc. Mas esse, sabe, período deve ser programado desde o início ao fim. Aí o que acontece? Lembra que eu estava mostrando isso, sei lá. Bom, o que acontece? Dependendo do momento que você encontra no dia, você vai simplesmente diminuir. Se você tem menos tempo, aí o que acontece? A sua sequência, você vai diminuir, mas tem certas partes que você não deve pular. A parte de realmente preparar seus pulmões, assim, do meu ver, alongamento, e essa parte você deve fazer, mesmo se fosse, sabe, para uns, sei lá, 3 minutos, ok? Mas vale, ok? Voltando, a questão, sabe, de abelhinho. O que acontece? O ar passa pelos lábios, os lábios vibram no bocal. Cada nota tem uma formulário ou cálculo de pressão do ar necessário e a vibração correspondente. Ou seja, cada vibração, ok, precisa um alimento, sabe, ou uma força. Concorda? Ok? Eu não sei se tem alguém aqui que já estudou física, mas assim, sabe, no universo, assim, é assim, sempre através de qualquer movimento ou qualquer força tem algum, você entende, energia, sabe, que vai projetar isso. Em nosso caso, essa vibração acontece por conta dos pulmões, sabe, puxando o ar. Ok, vocês deveriam ter acompanhado isso com o Lucas e a José também, mas o que acontece? Não é que você esforça seus lábios por fazer esse efeito. Eu acho isso que muitas pessoas fazem, infelizmente, e não estão entendendo que, por isso, realmente, muitas vezes a gente fica preso. So, a ideia é deve ter ressonância na hora que você for fazer o buzzing. Se não tem ressonância, quer dizer que você não está fazendo certo. Porque o abelhinho simplesmente fala do lábio, vibração do lábio, mas não explica o processo total. O processo total é que você está exercendo a pressão do ar e acertando a nota. Meu professor Glenn Dotson, que também era professor do Carl Lenthy, ele era professor do Joe Alessi e também do Mark Lawrence e do Blair, sabe, e eu. So, ele falou para nós, porque eu gosto de, sabe, voltar mesmo nos tempos, entendeu? So, porque nós humanos, sabe, nós somos realmente muito pequenininhos, viu, no universo. Se a gente abre os olhos e abre a cabeça, a gente vai descobrir que por muito tempo existia coisas incríveis, sabe? Sabedoria incrível. E cada geração, infelizmente, veio pessoas tentando reinventar e não dando crédito ao passado. Eu sempre faço questão de fazer isso porque eu acho importante. Dito isso, o Glenn Dotson, o professor mais respeitado na história de pedagogia no trombone, quer saber quem era o professor dele? No Curtis, onde ele estudou, onde ele se considerou assim a formação dele bem feito. O professor era russo. Ou seja, a escola do maior conservatório dos Estados Unidos, que produziu uma linha de famosos trombonistas americanos, é fundado na escola russa. So, vamos lá. Lembrando nosso exercício. Ainda sem língua. Lembra, meu objetivo não é de articular. Não estou usando língua. Estou simplesmente usando o ar. Porque eu quero exercer esse potencial que meu ar pode empolgar, sabe, o ritmo. Ou, no mínimo, acompanhar minha língua. A língua, qual é... vocês entendem. Cada nota tem uma frequência. Certo? Ok. Baixar meio tom. A vibração e a intensidade em que você se posiciona, ou esse aparelho que meu professor chamou de pitch selector. Sabe? Ele chamou isso de pitch selector. Você, o tempo todo que você está fazendo exercícios, você está fazendo uma série de coordenações do seu pitch selector e variando a pressão do ar. Porque também o ar varia. Por quê? Porque para o nosso instrumento de trombone, o que acontece? Ao elongar a vara, aumenta o comprimento do instrumento. Obviamente, quando você adiciona distância, você precisa aumentar a pressão. Ok? Você aumenta a pressão do ar e também seus lábios vão acompanhar esse movimento. Em princípio, sabe, quase sem perceber, os seus lábios devem abrir conforme que você sabe, baixar, sei lá, a nota, ok? E quando você está subindo, eles, olha só, coloque isso em contexto. Não estou dizendo que seu lábio vai fazer assim. Não, nunca, ok? Mas simplesmente sabe, sabe, o seu lábio não precisa tanto abertura, óbvio, ok? So, quando eu desci, eu abro um pouquinho, eu aumento a pressão do ar, aí quando eu sobo, eu uso apenas o que for necessário. Eu acho esse um grande segredo. Muitas vezes as pessoas empurram mais ar ou fecha demais sem necessidade. Um segredo dentro desse contexto todo é que quando você toca um trecho, sabe, ou qualquer exercício, no momento que você toca uma nota, uma frequência mais aguda, que a gente sabe que isso projeta, você não tem tanto necessidade de reforçar essa nota. Por quê? Porque justamente ele projeta mais. Na sequência de tocar, vocês devem estar aplicando, e por isso é realmente importante que vocês estudem lentamente e prestem atenção a esses detalhes que até o Blair, o Randy Campora passou ontem. Ao correr, assim, qualquer sessão ou música ou passagem, o momento que você esteja tocando a nota mais aguda, sabe, da passagem, a natureza da frequência e projeção já vai te dar automaticamente, sabe, a projeção que você precisa. Só que você não precisa. Desculpa. Sendo assim, que você consegue essa, sabe, coisa, você ganha esse apoio de projeção automático, só pela frequência, sabe, região. Você pode reservar para que quando você desce, você ainda se manter, caso a frase exige, ok? So, eu vou fazer simplesmente uma demonstração para vocês. Sorry. Aí o que acontece? Eu já sei que eu preciso mais o ar entre os intervalos maiores. Eu falhei naquele primeiro momento porque eu não tinha aplicado essa parte de colocar mais ar entre o intervalo. Mas uma vez que eu atende esse intervalo, eu posso, sabe, guardar o ar, sabe? Eu não preciso focar tanto. Aí eu posso realmente continuar a frase tranquilo depois, ok? Essa frase não vem de nada, gente. Eu nunca ouvi falar, eu simplesmente inventei isso agora, tá? É simplesmente para demonstrar, pode ser qualquer coisa, tá? O ponto é que uma das formas, porque às vezes eu vejo pessoas tocando uma frase, tentando não respirar, e o que acontece? Entendeu? Aí fica realmente feia no final. So, isso acontece quando você não consegue organizar e proporcionar seu ar. Se você encontrar uma frase ou exercício qualquer, tem duas maneiras para você chegar no final da frase. Ou você tem que programar uma respiração adequada, ou você precisa saber como administrar o uso do seu ar. Aí o que acontece? Se você for inteligente na distribuição do seu ar, igual como um atleta, seja inteligente na corrida de longa distância ou ciclista, você vai entender quando você tem uma descida, entendeu? Que vai beneficiar, sabe? Você não precisa ficar forçando em uma descida, entendeu? So, o que é engraçado para nós, essa descida seria o momento que você está mais alto. Por quê? Você está realmente tocando uma nota mais alta, uma vez que você atendeu essa nota, porque você usou um pouquinho mais o ar entre o intervalo, mas atingiu a nota. Aí você tem que ver, se essa nota não tem um crescendo, provavelmente você não precisa forçar muito, ok? Está me entendendo? Ok. Um, so, você pode fazer dessa forma que eu fiz, ou que eu fiz? Eu simplesmente fraseei. Aí eu peguei uma frase, eu criei dois momentos. Mais uma vez, gente, eu estou improvisando, estou simplesmente explicando uma detalhe ou técnica que pode ser aplicada em qualquer situação, ok? É uma questão de saber como administrar seu ar, porque cada nota tem uma certa pressão e frequência necessária. Aí só faz sentido esses livros que mostram nota longa, tudo. Não é para você ficar lá passando tempo assistindo televisão ou simplesmente tocando qualquer, sabe, coisa. Você precisa saber como exercer os seus pulmões em tempo. Tem que entender como fazer, ou você tem que condicionar seus lábios para elas entendam lábios e masculino. Lábios e masculino, não é? Isso. So, tem que praticar para seus lábios, sabe? Ficam atentas dessa, sabe? Dessa coisa de ajustes, sabe? Os pequenos ajustes por cada nota. Ou seja, a frequência de si bemol para lá natural é diferente. Não é a mesma coisa. Você entende? É diferente. Aí o que acontece? Você passa realmente intervalos lentos, escalas lentos, arpejos lentos, e com, sabe, o afinador e tudo. Por quê? Para você se condicionar. Óbvio, você pode ter talento e habilidade de tocar 1000 vezes mais rápido, pode tocar, sabe, 200 livros de material, mas isso, assim, não, não quer dizer que você acondicionou o seu lábio adequadamente, tá? So, eu preciso só... Just give me 1 second here. So, são 9h58. Eu vou... Me desculpa, gente. Eu só preciso só verificar que meu amigo aqui vai... Ok. No, this is not it. Sorry. Não sei porque esse aqui está lá. Vinícius, você está vendo Dion Tucker?
Não, ele ainda não entrou.
Ok, deixa eu só... Gente, me desculpa, eu só preciso coordenar. Porque o link, sabe, é diferente. So, ok, here we go. Ok, so deve ser copiando. Não, 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 sai.
Você quer o link novamente, professor?
You know what? Yes, please. I'm sorry to ask.
Só um minuto.
Thank you.
Te mandei pelo WhatsApp.
Ok. Obrigado. Perfeito. Okay, so just send this to Dion. So there we go. Perfecto. Okay, so hey Dion, so we're here already in the room, and this is your Zoom link. Thank you. Okay, so perfect. Okay. All right, so great. All right. Você me avisa, Vinícius, assim que ele entrar na sala?
Pode deixar. Assim que ele entrar, te avisa e coloco ele como anfitrião também.
Sim. Eu só que também queria ver se ele me mandou algo por e-mail. Dion Tucker, Chop Shop. Okay. Okay. Perfeito. Vinícius, eu estou baixando algo que ele passou por mim. Só quero ver. Yeah, failed to play audio. Yeah, I don't know why. It's funny. Eles mandam esses negócios. Okay, here we go. Okay, but that's not what I want. Share. Perfect. So eu estou mandando para você. Ok. Vinícius, eu estou mandando o negócio dele para o seu WhatsApp
Ok.
do meu outro telefone. So, deixa eu ver aqui. Okay, I was signing in through the old link. Okay. So he's about to join us here. Let's see what he wants to do with that. Bom, então, gente, eu vou tentar, assim, sabe, a gente vai tentar ficar por mais ou menos 1 hora com ele. Aí o Vinícius falou que ele tem que ir às 11h30. Vou ficar só um pouquinho mais depois, sabe, que acaba essa aula, sabe, para perguntas ou sei lá, a gente vê uma programação para compartilhar. Só estou esperando ele agora. Ele está tentando entrar agora. Ok? Mas enquanto isso, o Glenn Dotson, ele era uma professor muito assim diferente em relação aos outros, porque ele gostava muito dessa questão de ciências e de ser sucinto e tudo. So here we go. So welcome Dion Tucker from
Hello.
the Chops Shop. So Vinícius, se você pode traduzir conforme.
Ok, vou fazendo da mesma maneira dos outros dias.
Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm Darren Milling. I'm the bass trombone principal of the São Paulo State Symphony Orchestra, and here working for CIVEBRA 2021. This is the summer course, the international summer course of Brasilia, the Brasilia School of Music, which is the district capital of Brazil. It's not in Argentina. That's right. The capital of Brazil is, in fact, called Brasilia. And the people here are Brazilians, and they speak Portuguese and not Spanish. So welcome everyone, and welcome to what is my final day of CIVEBRA 2021. It has been an amazing time, And I am very happy and excited to end on a high note with Mr. Dion Tucker from the Chops Shop. I only apologize that I didn't think of it sooner to have him integrated into the programming. But hey, they always say, you save the best for last, right? And so I thought it was very important to have the inclusion of a popular and jazz musician. And what better example than someone who lives in New York, who's in the thick of it, and playing with Wynton Marsalis, among other great things that he does. So, without further ado, I would like to give an applause, if you guys don't mind, to open your cameras, and let's give an applause for Dion Tucker and welcome him. Thank you very much. So
Thank you guys so much for having me, Darren. Thank you for facilitating this. It really means a lot to me because you are located in literally my favorite country in the world. I love Brazil. I absolutely love Brazil. The culture, the people, the food, everything. It's close to my heart, So I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak to you guys today. I'm gonna go through a little bit about me, kind of how I arrived to where we are. Darren, if you could at any point in time, just let me know when you need to stop to translate so I don't do too much or.
Okay, so here's the good news. The good news is that we have an incredible translator here. The coordinator of this meeting is
Okay.
Vinicius, and he's been with me throughout the last 2 weeks. And he did a bang up job translating Joe Lessie's class the other day, and Randy
Right.
Campora's and everyone else's. So he's with us, thank God, and we're counting on him to do this,
Okay.
so we won't have to interrupt. So I will be interacting with, yeah, exactly. This is Vinicius, is the coordinator. So we are, we're going to be able to interact, naturally.
Okay.
Okay. So, and if he needs, he'll ask me, or interrupt, or if I see something strange in the meeting, I might just stop you just to make sure.
Okay.
I have sent them, just to let you know, I just sent to Vinicius the attachment that you sent in your last email. I don't know if you
Okay.
sent anything else previous to that.
No,
So,
I didn't.
okay.
And it might be easier. I don't know. Can I share my screen? I guess I can share my screen because he made me an admin. I can share that video also if I can share my screen. So that
That,
might just be easier.
and that's fine. And then this way he could focus on the chat. So that's fine.
Correct.
So feel
Correct.
free.
Darren, inclusive, é bom se ele puder mesmo compartilhar, porque não chegou para mim o que você compartilhou.
Okay.
Então,
Okay,
mas
no problem.
bom, se ele puder compartilhar é melhor, porque aí eu foco
Perfeito.
aqui.
Perfeito. Ótimo.
Okay.
So, okay,
All
sir.
right.
So the sala is yours. The classroom is yours. And thank you so much for agreeing to this and being here with us. I know it's very early in the morning there. So
It's okay. I have my tea. I'm prepared to go. If my voice cracks, excuse me. So let me start by giving you guys a little context about me. I've been a freelance musician in New York for a little over 20 years now. I moved to New York when I was a couple months before I turned 18 years old. So straight out of high school, I went straight to New York. I went to college for a couple years at the New School University, where I did wind up meeting a lot of musicians. But one of the great things about the New School was that it wasn't like a conservatory where you have to study with a certain teacher all of the time. Once you reached a certain level of proficiency, you could study with anybody that you wanted, and the school would pay for it in the city. So I had the opportunity to study with Benny Powell, Robert Trowers is a great trombonist, Vincent and Derek Gardner, who plays trumpet. Vincent plays trombone, Derek plays trumpet, both amazing players. So Steve Teray was one of my main teachers. I was able to just soak up a lot. When that kind of moved into my freelance work, that was very helpful because I had a lot of different perspectives, which I think is really important. So one of the things that I want to kind of share with you is this obviously is coming from my perspective, but as a freelance musician who has to step into many different roles, it's really important to be able to adapt quickly and to understand what your role is at that point in time. You know, so I'll start a little bit. I was 20 years old, 20 years old when I started playing with Ray Charles. All right. It was like, okay. Right. But that was one of the biggest learning experiences for me, more than just musically. Okay. Because it's Ray Charles. It's like, it's Ray Charles, right? You would think that it would be the most optimal performing conditions ever. It's not. Far from it. Okay. Far from it. It was like, and I had just come from doing a major tour with a American rock and roll band called Matchbox 20. So I went from playing like 20,000 people amphitheaters to playing with Ray Charles, which I thought was going to be roughly the same, but it was drastically different. And going from just playing horn parts to being a soloist, pretty much, it was the chair I had in Ray Charles' band, drastically different. So,
Hey,
yes,
Dion, I'm so sorry to
no
please forgive
worries.
me. So I just want to make sure, Vinícius, está tudo bem quanto, sabe, está conseguindo captar a inglês dele?
O inglês dele tá super claro, mas tá um pouquinho rápido só.
Okay, so
Talk
yeah,
a little slower.
yeah, just a little bit slower. It's you're name dropping in a very so
Okay, gotcha.
and so I would just say if you could just slow it down and really just explain, like Ray Charles, you said this name several times, but we missed a lot of, I think, some of the other colleagues that you mentioned before.
Okay.
Because they went kind of fast.
Okay, gotcha.
And then also when you say horn, for a Brazilian who knows English, they might think that you're talking about an actual French horn as opposed to trombone.
Trombone,
So.
gotcha. Perfect, perfect. I need this. Thank you. Okay. So the name of the rock and roll band I was playing with was Matchbox 20. That was the name of the group. And the horn section, it was a trombone, one trumpet, and one tenor saxophone. So it was 3 horns in the section with the rock band.
Can we say brass? Can you say
brass section?
That'll be a little bit easier for him. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Exactly.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no. I just need to know my tempo. Now I know I got you. So the difference in stepping into these roles was drastic. It was a drastic shift going from that. Very quickly, I started to learn, if you want to be a freelance musician, you have to be able to adapt quickly. That's very important. Moving forward into my career, the next major group that I joined was the Duke Ellington Orchestra.
Woo.
Okay. Now, I was the lead trombonist, first trombonist in the band, for 12 or 13 years. And that was, I was young. I was maybe 22 or 23 years old when I started this role. Little did I know that this role was going to groom me for basically everything else. Because of the way Duke Ellington writes his compositions. It requires you to be very much an individual of yourself and have your own personality in the part. It also requires you to be able to listen and interact with what's going on and understand how your part fits with the orchestra. Okay, so fast forward, all of that Duke Ellington music experience in playing in that orchestra. Duke Ellington's music is some of the hardest music to execute for all of the reasons that I said. Your personality and just the technique sometimes can be very difficult because he wrote it for the individual players. All right, now fast forward to when I started working with or subbing with the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra led by Wynton Marsalis. All of this training became essential because they play in that orchestra a lot of Duke Ellington music. And all of the skills that I acquired from the Duke Ellington band transferred directly to that. So
That's
I
amazing.
want, yeah, so I want to share a video clip with you guys. And this is when I was in Sao Paulo for 2 weeks with the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra. And we had a 2-week residency in Sao Paulo. And there was a clip that we made in a trombone rehearsal. We were just rehearsing a song. So I want to show you this clip so that you can see it. And then I'm going to talk about a few things that's happening. And then we're going to watch it again. And I want you to notice a few things. It's very short. It's only 1 minute long. Okay,
will you allow me to just add a comment here?
Absolutely.
At the CIVEBRA course, we call it. It's in Portuguese. It's called a course and not a festival.
Gotcha.
And one of the teachers here is Provetta. This is the saxophone player.
My guy. I love him. I love him.
Yeah. No, Provetta is, I think for me is, and I grew up with my mom listening to all the jazz greats. I learned about Sun Ra, Yusef Lateef, I mean,
Wow.
J.J. Johnson. We had all of his albums. And when I met Provetta and I had an opportunity to, hear his band during some of their collaborations in past years with the São Paulo State Symphony, I was amazed. I mean, the band sounds amazing and sounds great, but he in particular is just like there. I haven't yet heard any limits there. Yeah. He's just off. Yes. As we say it. This term I know. So Vinicius, when we say off, that means that they are amazing, like just from another planet. So yes. Provetta, Brazil's, one of my favorite saxophone players from Brazil and all over the world is, was here at CIVEBRA. And I think that's so great that the director, Davidson de Souza, who's the director, put together such an amazing team, here, and especially in the jazz. So I didn't get a chance to accompany because I was working my butt off trying to bring a course for the trombones. But Provetta was here as well, and so I think this is wonderful. So yeah, I wish I could have put you guys together.
Oh man, he was as amazing a musician as he was. He's that amazing as a person.
Yes,
he was the guest artist that was the most interactive with the band, hanging out. Hey, check. We went to I think it was a churro jam session at somebody's house, and it was incredible. It was really incredible. But I'm gonna do this screen share here. Just let me know that everything comes up. Let's see here. Desktop. Share sound. Okay. Give me 1 second here. Zoom. Okay, let's see if this works. All right. My goodness, this computer is asking for everything under the sun.
Well, you can't just go hacking into the chop shop computer,
On computer here. Okay. All right. So can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to play this clip for you guys, and I want you to just observe it, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay, so can you still see me and see the screen share?
Yes, we can. Well, at least I
Okay.
can. I'm pretty sure everyone can too.
Okay, so I just want to leave it up here so I don't have to go out of the screen
No
share.
problem.
Okay, so I want to use this clip as an example of a couple of things. All right, this song that we were rehearsing was, we had a bunch of music that was put together for the tour. And then some of the songs we did not get to rehearse before we actually got to Brazil. So there
Mm-hmm.
was a few things that we didn't get to run over. This was one of them. And obviously the trombones are featured on the melody. This is called Senior Blues by Horace Silver. And it was arranged by Carlos Enriquez, the bass player in the band. He did the arrangement of this. So what you're seeing, or what you just watched, was the first time that we ran that together. That was our
Wow.
first time playing it
Yeah.
as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Elliot, who is the first trombonist, and Chris, who is the second trombonist, they had played this before, maybe many years back. But this was my first time playing it with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it was about the phrasing and things like that. Now, if you listen to this, you would not think that this was the first time
Yeah.
that we are playing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is
It's in
one of
sync.
the yeah, this is one of the things that I want people to understand as a freelance musician. When you step into a role, you have to understand how to make yourself part of the group. So my main goal was to blend and understand the phrasing of this from the first time. Now, the second time should be perfect in my book. you know, you mess it up the first time, but this is the standard that I hold myself to. All right. I think it should be right the first time, but it's impossible if you do not know all of the phrasing. All right. So
Exactly.
that's one thing that I want you to understand. Every time that we have an opportunity to play, we have an opportunity to learn. So the performance should not necessarily be the best. It should continue to get better and better and better every time we play. Okay, so I wanted to use that as an example. Now I'm going to show you one other thing that I want you to take note of. And I want you to look at all of our feet and how they are tapping in during the rests when we're playing. I want you
Okay.
to not just notice the time.
Oh,
I
hey.
want you,
Yeah.
I want you to notice what
Body
part,
movement.
or yeah, what part of our feet are moving when we're tapping. Okay, so just observe that through this time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even see on this last frame, the first thing I do when we're done rehearsing is grab my pencil
Mm-hmm.
to make markings, you know,
Yeah.
and so that I don't forget. But what I want you to notice is that we weren't tapping our foot like this. Everybody's heel, 2, 3,
Yeah, I saw
4,
this. Yeah.
1, heel, heel.
Yep.
It's an internal time that we are all sharing that is grounded in our heel. So when we
Mm-hmm.
dance, we don't dance on the top of our feet. We dance on our heel. We stay grounded. Okay,
Right.
so this internal time is important, and you see it manifest itself during the rests. When we're
Yeah.
playing, we're playing, but during the rest, you know that our time is not stopping. So
Right.
these are little things that, as a section player, whichever section you play in, brass section, these are all little tricks that you can use to help yourself be more part of what's going on. And so I thought that would be a good example of that.
It is perfect. It
Okay.
is perfect. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
We're
no
here.
problem.
Yeah.
So now the other thing I want to point out is in that clip.
Actually, may
Sorry.
I ask you something?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the other trombone players. If I'm not mistaken, you mentioned the name Elliot.
Elliot Mason.
Elliot
He was
Mason. Was he in the? Is he in the Black Excellence Trombone Choir?
no,
No, he's not. Okay.
no.
Okay.
Elliot was the
His
first
bald head reminded me of one of the
Oh,
other players.
that's Chris. That's
Ah,
Chris.
yes.
Chris Crenshaw. Yes, and he was there. Yes.
Okay.
Elliot was the guy in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris was there. Chris Crenshaw. He was there.
Oh, so Chris, on the other side of him, he
Yeah.
was there. Okay,
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
I thought so. I thought I recognized that
Yes,
head.
yes, you know him.
Great.
He was also a fantastic trombone player. Yeah,
he sang the solo in the. Yeah.
And little known fact, since I'm here, give you some insight into the Lincoln Center Orchestra. Chris does a lot of the transcriptions of different songs. He
Wow.
probably has the best ears of anybody I've met. And
Wow.
he has the best time of anybody I met. If the tempo is 130, he can tell you and it is exactly that. I've never seen anybody do that.
That's great.
Internal. It's incredible. So Chris is really good. The other thing I want to talk about with that clip, though, I didn't know it at the time, right? But I was playing and I was starting to deal with what is called focal dystonia during this time. I'm not sure how much focal dystonia is known about in Brazil.
Okay, I would tell you, unfortunately, and I believe that Vinicius can agree to this. I would say that focal dystonia is something that is extremely frequent, more frequent than it should be in Brazil. Yes.
Okay. So I had never heard of this before. I didn't know what was happening. So that entire 2-week long tour where I'm having the time of my life playing, I'm struggling more than I've ever struggled. I've never had issues with my chops, with anything. I've always been a pretty natural player. Now on this tour, all of a sudden, I'm struggling. And by the end of the tour, I'd lost a full octave from my range. So it left me being like, I don't really want to play a solo. I don't really want to. I could get through stuff like that, but in my mind, something was drastically wrong. Okay. Once I came to New York, as soon as I got off the plane and got home, I took my horn out and started practicing. I was determined to figure out what was going on. I spent 2, maybe 3 days in the mirror looking at every little part of what was happening. I was getting tremors. My lips were shaking. I was having air leak out of the side of my embouchure. Never happened before. I was having extreme pain in my neck and jaw area. Not just like it hurts, excruciating pain in my neck and jaw area. At this point, I knew this is wrong. And the highest note that I could play was a D above middle B flat. I could not play any higher than that.
Right.
So I put the horn down and I had to say, okay, what is happening here? Is my career over? Because that was the immediate thought. I know my lips, I know my body, I know I've never heard anybody go through something like this. So it's just over for me. And I'm a photographer also. So I said, oh, I'm supposed to be a photographer now. So I had two of the most depressing days of my life just thinking my career was over. I kind of got it together. I reached out to a friend of mine who sent me a couple of books. One was called The Broken Embouchure, and one was called Embouchure Rehabilitation.
Interesting.
And
I'm sorry. And who are these authors? Do you know?
yes, the author was a woman named Lucinda Lewis, who is a French horn player, actual French horn player, I believe in New Jersey somewhere.
Okay.
These books are very difficult to find.
Are both by her?
Yes, both of them are by her.
Okay. So can you repeat those names again of the
Yes,
books?
The Broken Embouchure
The
is the name of,
Broken Embouchure.
yes, is
Okay.
the name of one, and Embouchure Rehabilitation.
And Embouchure Rehabilitation. Okay.
Yes. These are the two books that I first found, and I started reading, and I was like,
Yeah.
every single symptom was me. It was like,
Okay.
yep,
Hold on for 1 second because this is really important and I don't
yes,
want to go too fast.
yes,
So, galera, eu acho muito importante essas duas referências. Eu pediria se alguém poderia dar uma pesquisada para ver se vocês acham isso no Google, ok? Os nomes desses livros. Eu acho muito importante. Eu acho que todo mundo aqui conhece alguém que sofre com isso, sabe? Aqui. E muito importante. So, okay. So thank you so much for that. Okay.
yes,
Please.
yes,
And if I could just ask for you to go just a little
a
bit
little
slower
slow.
and to
Oh,
just be more I would say let's just say vernacular with the language.
got you, got you. No problem. I'm gonna when after I say an important point, I'm gonna just pause just to make sure that it's going. Okay, I'm gonna do that.
But your English is very clear, actually. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll just slow down for you. No problem. Um, so I read all of these symptoms, and I realize that this is me. This is
Wow.
what's going on. Within this book, there are a few exercises that she recommends to gain awareness of what the embouchure or how the embouchure should function, quote unquote. One of them being exercise called blocked buzzing, right? Which is essentially blocking the end of the mouthpiece, like so that no air can escape. And then putting your lips to just feel where your embouchure should be. Since no air can escape, it creates this kind of tension, this formation there at your embouchure. That was one of the first things I started doing. Mind you, I could only play for maybe 20 minutes at a time. So
How did you survive uh, a tour in this condition?
barely, barely. And I'll tell you, there, like, I'm playing with Lincoln Center. Everybody is great musician, as we know. When people are warming up, doing their thing, I'm in a corner somewhere hoping nobody hears me. Serious mental thing. Barely being able to function in the section and knowing that Wynton Marsalis is sitting right over my shoulder and not wanting to turn around and say, hey, Wynton, my chops don't feel. What? No, don't want to do that.
No, Wynton Marsalis is not the type that, yeah, no.
he's gonna just look at me like, you just give me a look.
Right.
Probably not say anything. Just give me a look. And that may have been the last time they call me if I did that.
Right.
So it is much like an athlete. If they have an injury, they may not disclose it because they don't want people to take advantage of that. It's the same with me. I didn't want to disclose it because I didn't want people to think that that was affecting what I was doing, especially moving forward. So
it's interesting, this point that you mentioned, because as a freelancer, and I mean, I've been a freelancer as well. You are, you're sort of subjected to the whims and wills of those people who have, the power of having a list and a phone in their hand, and they decide who to call.
Yeah.
And sometimes on the other side, you have colleagues who are out there who, would love to capitalize on you being, ill or having some sort of deficiency.
Yes.
I remember when I was in the hospital. I told you I was in the hospital twice last year.
Yes.
I was hospitalized twice, for one for a pulmonary embolism, and then the other time for a blood-related issue. And I noticed, even that I'm in the orchestra and everything, but you start to think, well, what are people thinking? And people were surprised that I was posting, but I had the fortune to not have my playing affected, and I didn't really miss that much work, actually. But as people were calling me, it actually crossed my mind, is this person calling me because they want to replace me? Now.
Yes.
So I feel you. And I totally understand, especially in that situation as a freelancer. It's I mean, it can turn your world upside down. So please forgive me for the interruption.
No, that's everything you said is 100% true. And once I realized, about 1 week into realizing what was going on, I canceled everything that I had in the future. I just said, I will not go into a job and not be able to do my best, because I understand that my reputation is on the line. And as a freelance musician, your reputation is your business card. It is what represents you. So when people would call me for work, I would just say, I'm unavailable. I didn't tell anybody I have to say it. So people just thought maybe he's busy.
Right.
And I missed some good paying jobs because I knew I couldn't do it. So
people were probably checking out, all the clubs to see if you were there. Probably on the TV. Like where is he?
I was quiet, and this was the summertime in the US. So that's when most of the work is happening.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
So little tricky, but this little did I know that this was going to be the start of my rebirth as a trombonist and as a person, not just a trombonist, as a person.
And as an educator.
Yes.
Because, I mean, I would like to share with everyone here, one of the reasons why I wanted to invite Mr. Dion Tucker is because I was so impressed with his dedication. His, actually, as Vinicius said, your English is actually quite perfect. And it's just, when translating, of course, we have to, but it's your English is fantastic. As an educator, I really have enjoyed what you put out there. I think it's going to be very useful. So I would recommend to the Brazilian students accompanying this now or later to please look up Dion Tucker's The Chops Shop videos. A lot of great information there. A lot of, so people who really, if your thing is to play in a big band, or as a soloist, or if you are a, popular teacher and you are teaching, students in that style, Mr. Tucker is, really the, I think is the way to go. And even beyond that, I mean, I play in a symphony orchestra, and a lot of the things that you are saying, Dion, are just right on point, and they would apply to anybody. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
definitely.
so congratulations for for your dedication and putting out there. So sorry
Yes,
about that.
yes. No, thank you. And I was going to segue into that. The route that I took, because I didn't know what was going on, and because it is not so widely known in the US dystonia,
Mm-hmm.
I did not know who to go to,
Right.
who to talk to.
Okay.
All of the brass gurus or the brass master teachers that were in New York area were no longer alive.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, who do I go to?
Right.
I went to at first, I went to a friend of mine. His name is Sam Burtis. He's a trombone player as well. They're low brass, trombone, tuba, bass trombone, extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
He helped me by showing me some of Carmine Caruso exercises. Are the Caruso exercises something that's talked about much in Brazil?
Uh, Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Maybe Vinicius knows.
Okay. So let me explain a little bit. Yes. Okay. Good. So, for those of you that may not know about the Caruso exercises, let me explain in briefly what they are. So, the whole objective is for you to keep the mouthpiece on your face the entire time, and you breathe through your nose so that you're not taking away your setup. So the tempo will be like 1, 2, 3. Mm. You keep it there. Next note. So it's always the horn is the mouthpiece or the horn is on your face. Now, here is the important thing. Many people use this exercise as a isometric exercise, meaning they use it so that they can keep their corners firm, right? You never have to move your corners here. That is the part that is detrimental, okay? Because we should not be keeping our muscles under tension like this. We should not. Now, the good thing about the Caruso and I'm not saying this exercise is bad. Okay. I'm saying that it should be understood the purpose of the exercise. The most important part of this exercise is you tap your foot, right? And as you are tapping your foot in your mind, you are subdividing 1, and 2 and 3 and 4 and ba. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and ba. Even when you are resting, you are subdividing. Okay. What that helps with is playing with good time, because timing is everything for us. So when I told my friend Sam I was having these issues, he said, "Oh, you've lost your timing. So you didn't lose your chops, you've lost your timing." So I was like, interesting. What is this? So that's when he showed me these Caruso exercises, my focus of attention went away from what's happening here, and it went to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and ba, or even 16th subdivision. Dot 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 t and 4e and dot 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 dot. When your brain is thinking dot 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 dot, you can't think about what are my corners doing, what are this to. It doesn't work like that. Your brain can only do one thing at a time. So it takes the focus of attention away from here and it puts it on the time and it makes you play. So I have a video on my Chop Shop channel. It's called Trombone, Tennis, and Timing. So sorry, Dan, you're muted.
Forgive me.
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Are you able to find that link and just to share it in the chat?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I will
So
do that.
yeah, so that would be great.
Yeah.
Students to look into the link, because I remember there are a lot of videos on your channel.
Yes, there are. There are. Thank God.
So, yeah, exactly.
Thank God. Let me pull it up.
You know, and I was also thinking, you know, I loved your solo in the Black Excellence Choir. Do you think there's a possibility you can pull that up for us to see a little bit?
Yeah, if I can find that. Give me 1 second, because like you said, there's
no
a
problem.
million videos here.
I know. That's why I was like, but I figured you're probably better at finding it than I am. But
Yeah. Let me
see
find this one here. Trombone, tennis, and timing.
Okay, and while you're looking at it, I'll see.
Okay, here it is.
Maybe if I will.
Here it is. And stop me at any point that there's any questions or anything like that.
Okay.
But I know that's gonna come after I do this, after I talk about this. Okay, here we go. Share, copy.
If I'm not mistaken, you did solos on both, right? You did solos on Lift Every Voice.
No, I only did on one.
On Blues Hymn? Was that the last one?
No, it was the first one. It was the Lift Every Voice.
Okay.
Oh, the Black National Anthem, yeah.
Okay.
All right, there we go. Yeah, so there's the link to that trombone, tennis, and timing video.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that.
Yes. So during this time, the TV was on, and it was during the U.S. tennis tournament, the U.S. Open. And I was watching the tennis players hit the ball back and forth. So in my mind, I said, what if every time they hit the ball, I attack a note? So, bump, 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 bump. Now, the what do you call the pause was a problem I was having when I would go to play a note. There was a hesitation there. So this exercise actually really helped me not focus on the hesitation and only focus on hitting the ball. Little did I know, this is actually an exercise in tennis where they have the player focus on the bounce of the ball, bounce, hit, bounce, hit. It's a rhythmic thing.
Yes,
I didn't know this until after.
This is why at the Curtis Institute of Music we play table tennis. This was actually suggested to us by legendary teachers to learn how to play table tennis. Same thing.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So my timing got better and things started getting a little bit better, little by little.
That's great.
After about 3 months, I was like, okay, I can go back to performing, but more on a limited basis. So now when I normally play first trombone, now I'm playing third trombone.
Okay.
And nobody
not bass. Third tenor
not
trombone.
bass. Yeah, third tenor trombone. Still can't play bass trombone. Right? And so at this point, my colleagues see me now after a long period of time, but I'm playing third trombone. So it's like, why are you playing third trombone? Okay. At that point, and not taking any solos, because I could only play maybe one chorus of a blues or one chorus of a song. So I wasn't really comfortable standing up and soloing yet.
So people thought you turned into a legit player.
Yeah, they were just like,
so what are you preparing for symphony auditions?
Yeah, right. You know, and at that point I started telling people, hey, I had dystonia, you know, and then that led to, oh, I know somebody that had dystonia. Oh, I know somebody that, and then it was like, in my mind, I said, how come this is not talked about? How come this is not something that is part of the brass community? Because nobody wants to talk about it because it's an injury to them. Okay. So this is where the journey gets really interesting. This is where it takes a turn, even more interesting, I should say. I found a woman who is a specialist at helping musicians recover from dystonia. Her name is Jan Kagarais. Okay.
That name is known in Brazil, by the way.
Okay, good. That's very good. She's been teaching people since 1982. Very long time working with people. I found her, I wrote her an email, and I said, can you help me save my career? Literally. She said, okay. We met, and our first lesson was 2.5 hours, and it completely changed my life, my perception of brass playing, and my understanding of how our bodies work when we play. Okay. Now, I want to do a couple of things with you. I want to talk about a few points. I'm looking around because looking for a piece of paper. You know, if you give me 1 second, I'm going to just grab a regular piece of paper. Take me one second.
No problem. No problem. So, again, for those who are watching on YouTube, I'm Darren Coleman Milling, bass trombone principal of São Paulo State Symphony. This is CIVEBRA 2021, the international summer course of the Brasilia School of Music. And we're with Dion Tucker, who's just stepped away from the camera for a few moments to grab a piece of paper. And he's back.
I am back. All right. So these are just two regular pieces of paper that I have from my computer printer. Okay, now I'm going to ask a question. Everybody can answer it on their own, and then they can see whether their answer is correct. Okay?
Hold on for 1 second. Ô, Vinícius, eu acho importante que os alunos captar isso que ele falou.
Sim. Você pode repetir só o finalzinho?
Can you just repeat again basically the beginning of what you would like to do, your experiment?
Okay. I'm going to, with these two pieces of paper, I'm going to ask you a question as to what is going to happen. I want you to answer it for yourself. And then I want you to see if your answer is correct. Okay? These papers represent our lips. So this is like if we were playing. All right? I'm going to hold it down this way. Okay? But we can imagine that these are our lips. All right? When I put air in between the paper, do you think the paper is going to come together, or do you think it's going to go apart? Okay, once I blow like we are playing an instrument, will the paper come together? Will it blow apart? All right, let's find out. Even if it's here.
Oh.
The paper comes together. When I first saw this, I thought the paper would go apart. Physics, science is telling us that when the air passes between this surface, they automatically come together. So when the air passes our lips automatically come together. It's automatic.
That's amazing.
Now, where do we get in trouble a lot of times? Because when we start and we learn how to play, at least in America, many of our band teachers tell us to say the letter M or M and blow. M. Now, based off of what I just showed you, if I say the letter M and I know that my lips are going to come together, how does the air get through? You have to blow your lips into position because the air has to pass through in order for us to create a sound. So we wind up playing and we blow our lips into position. That's how I played for 25 years. Okay. When I worked with Jan, she said, no, you need to let your lips sit there and let them come together. The opposite. So if this straw represents the airstream, this is the airstream. This is my lips. The air has to travel through. So if I'm blowing it, let me do it this way. There we go. If I'm blowing, but the airstream is here. So if I can leave my lips here and know, because I know they're coming together, I want them to wrap around the airstream. I don't want to force my lips into the position that I think they need to be in order to create that note. Okay, that's big thing number one for me.
And let's just repeat that this reference you're referring to is Jan Kagaris. This is the widow of the late Vern Kagaris, who is one of the, if I'm not mistaken, one of the founding members of the International Trombone Association and a longtime president of the International Trombone Association. Vern Kagaris.
Correct.
Are you with us,
100%.
Vinicius?
Sim, se você puder escrever o nome dela no chat, Darren.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, also Dion, would be helpful if maybe sometimes we even write a name of reference. You know what I mean? Just to give
In the chat.
our Brazilian audience, yeah, just to reinforce so people are clear about that.
Not a
Not
problem.
everyone knows, these people. I happen to know Jan personally because I was actually at Chautauqua Festival when her husband was late husband was alive.
Yes.
And I performed in a section with John Marcellus, Vern Cagris on second trombone, and I was bass trombone. And Fred
Okay.
Boyd, who's actually a bass trombonist turned tubist, was
Okay.
playing tuba at the time. So yeah, so
Okay.
she's wonderful. We had a lot of wonderful conversations. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So another person I would mention, by the way, just for you to know that and to spread around, is Deborah Taylor. Deborah Taylor is a tenor trombonist who graduated from Curtis. She was at school when Joe Alessi was there.
Okay.
And she was the principal trombone of the New Mexico Philharmonic or Symphony for many years. She's now retired, but she also had some issue. So yeah, these are two women who are very actually quite, and she and Jan are probably about the same age.
Okay.
Actually. So yeah,
Yeah.
but this is amazing what you just demonstrated. Would you mind demonstrating that thing with the paper again, please?
Sure. No
Because I
problem.
think that's so important, actually.
And it's important for us to understand as players, brass players especially, since we cannot see what is going on inside the mouthpiece, we have to create that picture here. The picture that we create here is what the body will try to match. So that's very important to remember, that the things that I am telling you is not a methodology. It's to help you create a picture for yourself to find the most efficient way for you, because it is going to be slightly different with everybody. But having the understanding is important, very important. So the paper, the air passes the surface and our lips work in a very similar way. So now I'm going to show you with the embouchure visualizer what my embouchure used to look like, what it looks like now, and the benefits of the function between then and now. Okay. Many players, like I said, myself included, the setup is all of your lips from here to here is inside the rim of the mouthpiece. And we blow our lips into position. It is possible for the air to get through, as you can see. However, now my embouchure looks more like this. I don't have to move my lips out the way. They're already out of the way. And just like the paper, I let them come together around the airstream. So now I have more space available for the airstream to be able to travel freely without my lips getting in the way.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's very important
I was about to
for
stop right there anyway.
yeah, it's very important for everyone to know that. Well, one, I think that Mr. Tucker is extremely generous to share this very personal experience that he is having has had, and I think what makes him a great teacher is the fact that he is able to be transparent about this, and being able to explain. And I just want people to understand that you're looking at an individual here who is a consummate New York New York based popular and jazz freelancer, but the technique and the pedagogy that he's explaining is not so different from what uh, someone like Joe Alessi also uses. Because I have said also for a long time that because I work with a lot, well, tenor, bass, trombone, tuba, euphonium, as they go in the upper register, the tendency is for everyone to tighten corners and to try to, uh, you know, close their lips. But in fact, what they need to do is to increase the air and to maintain those lips open. Actually, you just explained more eloquently and more thoroughly and completely a concept that has been, so I would say, talked about in the last, maybe few years, about the secret of how some people play with a very open and nice sound in the upper register, as opposed to a very small and tight sound in the upper
Mhm.
register. So
Yes.
I mean, I see just a straight pedagogical benefit for everybody across the board, here. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much for that. Okay,
Yeah.
so sorry.
We're about to go deeper. Like we're about to dig all the way in. Okay. Like all the way. So just sorry if you have something to do, but get ready. All right. So, all right.
Actually,
So,
hold on, let me just coordinate with the coordinate. Vinicius,
yes,
tá
tell me
aí?
when I.
Yes.
Deixa eu te perguntar. Eu sei que você tem que ir embora às 11h30, mas caso eu for controlando, eu
Derek,
posso continuar?
a palestra tá tão boa que eu acho que eu vou perder minha aula lá para seguir aqui.
Ou seja, você também está aprendendo junto com
Com
a gente.
certeza. Isso é bem útil para mim também.
Okay,
Você...
perfecto. Okay, so Dion, so check this out.
Right.
So our coordinator, who's actually a trumpet player, by the way,
Okay.
he said that he's about to blow his lesson so he could stay here and watch this. So
Well, tell his teachers my apologies.
They will understand.
Okay, so I'm gonna make it worth your while. No worries. All right, so let's dig a little deeper into this. Okay, let's talk about the function, and I'm glad that you mentioned this, Darren, of our corners. Okay, most of you, me included, if I tell you to point to your corners, we're going to point to these muscles here. All right. Mostly because this is what we're taught. These are the corners. These must be firm. Phil, we've heard this before. Now, I'm going to do something. I'm going to share something with you guys. And once again, this is to bring awareness. This is not about this is what you have to do. I want to bring awareness. If your hands are clean, hopefully, I want you to take your two fingers, your two pinky fingers, and I want you to put them here, your jaw like this. And then I want you to bring your fingers together. Good. Again. Good. Again. You feel the muscles that you're using to bring your fingers together?
Ou seja, você tem que usar os músculos para, sabe, apertar seus dedos, tá?
All right.
Aí sente os músculos, isso.
The muscles that you're using to bring those together, those are your corners. Let's call them the inner corners. Here and here. Here and here. Your inner corners. Now, what I want you to do is do this one more time, and I want you to feel where you had the awareness of your corners before. All right, so we're used to our corners being here. I want you to do this, and I want you to feel your corners here. Okay, we'll do that, and then feel these corners. They are much more relaxed. Much more relaxed. So many times when we play like this, we are playing under tension because of our understand. We can feel our lips stretched across here. Yes, the air can travel through, but there is tension. And over a long period of time, this tension can build up. Different periods of time is where this tension manifests itself. What I mean is when we get tired, this is the first thing that goes when we're playing. Then everything else goes very quickly after that. But we know when we get tired, we lose stability here, right? When we're here, these muscles are turned off. So very similar to your bicep muscle in your arm. When your bicep muscle is activated, what is your tricep doing? Nothing. Vice versa. When your tricep muscle is activated, what is your bicep muscle doing? Nothing. So we need to understand how everything here is working in conjunction together, not just these muscles here, which we tend to focus a lot on, these muscles, which are meant for smiling. That's their job, these muscles, is for you to smile. So, as teachers, we tell our students, do not smile when you go into the upper register. We also tell our students, make sure you keep your corners tight when you go into the upper register. So now you're asking your body to do something that it's not set up to do. You're asking the muscles that are meant to smile to not smile. So you see, these are where the mental signal, your brain will do this. It will do it. It will do it. But if something interrupts that signal with the function, now we must look at the efficiency of what truly is the function of the embouchure. Okay? Let me dive into embouchure function. And are we okay at this point, Darren, for me to move on to the next?
We're good. We're absolutely good.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the function of the embouchure is to funnel the airstream into the mouthpiece. The mouthpiece is a funnel for the air to go into the horn. Many teachers will tell you that the mouthpiece is an amplifier for the sound. All right? The mouthpiece is a funnel for the air. We do not play the mouthpiece for a living. Okay. The mouthpiece is there to help us funnel the air in to resonate the air that's already there. The horn is already full of air. We are already full of air. We are a vessel for the transfer of this energy from us to that. The sound is already there. So can you create a tone without buzzing your lips? No mouthpiece. All right. I just want to show you the efficiency of function with the embouchure. Okay. So if my embouchure was like this, okay, the air can get through. If my embouchure is like this, already in the shape of the lead pipe, see, so what the horn is telling me is that the air is getting through and resonating what is happening here without the lips being in the way. So the resonance that happens in the tubing is what creates our sound. Our lips vibrating is a part of what helps us create our sound. It is not the reason that our sound is created. This is why, in my opinion, free buzzing on the mouthpiece, we must be careful how we use these exercises and understand that that may not necessarily be how we play the instrument, but we can play the instrument like that. But is it the most efficient way? These are the questions I want you to ask yourself. All right. Now, we're talking about efficiency. How do we train this efficiency? This tool right here saved my career. It is a plastic straw. Okay. Saved my career. There was no exercise, nothing in any book, nothing that was more important than the exercises that I learned on this straw from Jan Kagarice. She exposed me to this. I'm going to share a little bit with you. When I was playing like this for my whole career, if I use the straw so we can hear the airflow that's happening, right? We can hear how the air is traveling through the straw. So my lips are like this. Right? Blowing them into position. Now I'm going to just leave them there. And I'm going to pretend that my airstream is this straw, because this straw is opening is roughly the same size opening as my mouthpiece shank. The maximum amount of air that we can get in the horn is what can fit down here. That's the most, no more. So when that air still has to be funneled through there. Okay, so that's important to remember. Now, if I use this straw and know that the air column has to be formed to this and leave my lips in that position, instead of I get Now, there is no doubt that the air is traveling into the tube. No doubt. Because there's no way the tone, there's no way that would be there if the air was not resonating the tube. When we play, this straw gets replaced by this straw. So we go from the plastic to the metal straw. So the function of my embouchure right? I know that the air is traveling. Let me turn this way so you can see better. Now the mouthpiece is a good, probably 1 inch. I'm not sure how many millimeters that is. Sorry. Probably that far away. But I know that my air is traveling. So when I go to play the trombone and I know that the sound is right there, it's just on the other side of my lips. Instead of going, I'm just letting my lips sit there. Now, because of the paper experiment, and we know that our lips are coming together, when we let the air pass freely through our lips, they're going to wrap around that airstream. Whatever it is, much like when we say hello, hey, 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 oh, oh, our body instantly knows how to make that adjustment better than we know how to tell it what to do. So we, as musicians, need to be very good at observing what is happening and not always trying to create what we think needs to happen. Unmute yourself, Darren.
Rather control also. Something, you know, we humans have this innate ability to think that we can control everything. Yes. And we're very small and we have very little power.
Yes. And the better we get, the more experience that we have, the more control we try to take of the situation. So this is the hardest thing to deal with if you have dystonia, especially if you're later in your career, because I already know what to do. And it is very hard to step back. Now you have no choice but to listen to your body. Your body's like, no, you don't. You think you do. No, you don't. Because you can't do it. Right? So now we have no choice but to listen.
Yeah.
And to observe and to find our best route around this traffic jam, per se. Okay. So that is a little bit about the function. I could go deeper into that, but I want to move on to the next thing. I don't want to keep you guys here all day. But function of the embouchure. I want all of you to think about how your embouchure functions working with the airstream. They're working together. They're not separate, and they enhance each other. It's like a beautiful relationship. But we know if we try to control a relationship, especially with a strong partner, forget it. Knockheads every time. Okay. So are we good? Is the
we are
tempo good?
great, Dion. I'm amazed, and if you'll probably noticed I was sort of looking at and doing something else. What I was doing, I'm actually giving yet more advertisement about this amazing lesson, telling people
Oh,
that
thank you,
an
man.
incredible lesson is happening now with Dion Tucker here
Thank you.
from the Chop Shop. So
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
yeah, so I just was pumping the social
Okay.
media there.
Okay, good. I want to make sure everybody is like here with me
Yeah.
as I move on. Okay, cool. So now let's talk about this now. Let's talk about air. All right? Because breathing is probably one of the most talked about things in brass playing. Breathing. As if we don't know how to breathe. Okay, but I digress. So let's think about this now. I think about breathing as just one cycle. You can look at it as a circle or you look at it as a cycle. And this cycle began when we were born. And the doctor did whatever. And our first wah, as the air cycle has not stopped. And it will not stop until it's over for us, right? The air is just going and going. Our bodies recycle the air at approximately 20,000 times per day, approximately, just breathing natural. We do this by the time we're 18 years old. We've done it 70 million times. Then we get to higher education, and our music teachers say, now I'm going to teach you how to breathe. And your body says, I already know how to breathe. I've done it millions of times. And you say, no, no, no. When there's a trombone in front of me, you need to do this. Your body says, okay, if that's what you want me to do. Now, I want you to think about any other point in time in your existence that your body naturally goes to this type of breathing. Okay, that is when we are out of air, when we are in hyperventilation, and our body is trying to get back to its natural rhythm that it knows. We wind up, and then it slows down, and then it goes back to its normal pace and its normal cycle. When we play, we do not want to interrupt this cycle that much by throwing it into the body, doing things that naturally happen when we inhale. One of the things that the body will do when we take an active inhalation is it will freeze. Much like if somebody scares you, hey, you go, okay? This is the body's, one of the body's natural reactions to active inhalation like this. So we don't necessarily need to shock our system by going, because now we have to figure out how to get over the hump. Now, we can easily go, we train the body how to go and go and go and go and go and go. but it already knows how to do that. So breathing, it's a very simple thing. When the air is leaving you, when we are blowing, quote unquote, that is automatic. We don't have to do that. The reason being, our body is holding in something that is toxic. It needs to let it out. If we hold our breath, everything, you have to let it out. So the air leaving is automatic. When the air is coming in, that's also an automatic response if we let it happen. If we try to create it, and we know that we can let it happen, because when we sleep, just like Darren is taking this big breath right now, very, very natural. You didn't have to go to yawn. That just naturally happened. When we learn to relax our diaphragm, which is how the air comes back in, and let it release. So the air is released. Now I'm going to talk a little anatomy here because this is important too. Back up a little bit. Our diaphragm, a lot of times we are told to observe down here when we play. Or right? And we're told to observe there. Our diaphragm is up here. It's just underneath our ribs. And the range of motion of the diaphragm, when we let the air go and we relax, 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 relax. That's the range of motion. I know we are taught fill up from here to here. The diaphragm is the pump. Everything in here is packed in, packed together. So what we observe here is the diaphragm pushing all the organs down when we breathe in. Or so we see the stomach, but the diaphragm is just pushing down on everything here. But its range of motion is just this. All right? It's the pump. We are already full of air. We are never fully out of air. There's always 20% left in the tank. Always. We can never let all the air out. So what we need to learn to do is that after we are done using the air, to relax the diaphragm and know that the body is already full. So I'll give you a demonstration. I'll sing. Sorry, terrible singer. But I will sing a note, and I'm going to just keep this note going. And you're never going to see me take a breath in. You're never going to see me go, You're never going to see that. But I'm always going to be recycling. Okay, so I just want you to observe. Let me see if I can do this here to where you can see enough. Okay. So I want you to observe what's happening here. So turn the mic this way. So da 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 So all I do is relax the diaphragm and keep going. Relax, keep going. Relax, keep going. I did not go, Ah, da, 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 da. Ah, da, 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 because that is very unnatural to your body. You're taking in air on top of air that's already there. You're taking in air on top of air that's already there. We get our most pure sound, our most when things are relaxed. So when we bring the tension of air in on top of what's already there, it makes it more difficult for us to relax. What dictates the amount of air that we need? The music dictates how much air we need. So, and excuse me, it's whatever time in the morning. I haven't played at all. But if I have in front of me, the rhythm is da da, right? Do I have to go? I'll give you a tempo. Say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, da da, right? So I'll do one with active breath. I'll do one with just letting go. So 1, 2, let me do that again. 1, 2, 3. That wasn't even a good example. I'm gonna active breath. 1, 2. There we go. That was more right. Or do I do 1, 2, 3? Did I need to take that active inhalation to play that? No, because I'm already full of air. So the music should dictate that intake of air if it's required. If it's required. Because see, I don't really need to go. I can just, it's because the sound is right there. So why put my body through the extra work of the if that's not required? So what I want you to understand is that yes.
I have to ask because to answer or actually to present another question in here. Could it be that the size of the instrument also is a factor? Because, for example, for those of us who are bass trombonists,
correct,
you know, we are forced to accept the fact that most of the air that is available to us is almost never sufficient.
So yes,
okay,
yes, it does matter. The bore side, all of these things. Once again, the music dictates that, right? However, we need to explore how deep into that do we need to go? How much does that note need if we let it resonate as opposed to if we're going to force it out? Once we start letting the notes resonate, you realize you need less air because you don't have to blow past the lips. So the air is freer to travel. Now, all of this, once again, as I said, is to bring awareness to what it is that you do. Yes, I'm playing a smaller bore trombone here, but I would apply the same thing to if I was playing a tuba. I would have the same, I would leave my lips there. And the more I relax, now let me explain, or let me show rather, this relaxation, the more I can relax, I'm about as full as I can be. When I just, it's not like if I go on top of that, that's going to be a good, because now I'm kind of taking in, I could be bringing tension into other parts of the body. Okay, so understand how to fill all the way up with that relaxation. And if you do a simple exercise of just observe yourself breathing for a couple of minutes and just leave your hand on your diaphragm and don't do anything. You're just breathing. You're just breathing, not doing anything. Have a slight opening in your lips. What you will observe is that over time, you fill up more and more and more naturally. The reason why you are filling up more and more is because you are relaxing more and more and more. So when it's time for us to breathe, it's time for us to relax. So I had to train my brain. When the trombone is coming to my lips, it's time to relax. It's not time to get ready to do it. It's time to relax and to let the body fill up and let the air be released naturally because it is automatic. Okay, now I'm going to show you a little thing that I came up with during this COVID thing because I have some extra time on my hands, a little bit. I got into a little, because I got really into how the diaphragm functions and really understanding it. So I built a diaphragm, right? I use this with my students so that they can understand and see clearly what's happening. So let me see if I can get this to focus here. Okay. So the yellow balloons are lungs. Okay. This Y tube here, that's just like the tubes leading into the lungs. And this top part would be what connects our throat to our air and all that. This is our diaphragm, this red part down here, right? I want you to observe, let me see, hold it here. Yeah. I want you to observe what happens when I pull down on the diaphragm. So this would be like actively inhaling. This would be like going, and then we blow, the balloons deflate. Then we blow, balloons deflate. All right, that's what we're taught. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just blow and I'm going to take my finger away. I'm going to just relax. Look at what happens to the lungs. So the relaxation of the diaphragm fills up the lungs automatically. That's how our bodies work. So we play, da, 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 we relax, we're already full. Da, 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 we relax, we're already full. Da, 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 already full. Da, 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 already full. Okay, so if I can try and transfer that, try and play a tone with that and show this thing too at the same time. Try and do this. All right, so put this down. I just want you to watch the diaphragm for now. Okay, it doesn't take much because I know the sound is right there. The sound is just on the other side of our lips. Mm-hmm. So as soon as I touch the gas, but relax, but relax, but relax, but relax. So this is what I want to get. This is the cycle that I want to play in. So when I have a rest and I have to play, you know, I'm off. I can keep my lips here because the diaphragm is what I am tying the sound to. The activation of the diaphragm is what my sound is tied to, not the buzzing of my lips. I just let everything else happen. I override the lip. I'm not even thinking about what my lips are doing. I let them come along for the ride, like the paper demonstration, and I let the airstream be my focus. How the diaphragm as a pump is tied to the sound. And you'll notice that I don't have to do as much work here. I'm just hanging out. Now, even if I wanted to leave my lips kind of more forward, it's still relaxed. So now I know the air, once it hits the cup, I know it's going to be funneled into here to create the resonance for the sound. I don't have to worry as much about about buzzing my lips, about the play and everything being, this picture that we create. Now we can create a slightly different picture or use this understanding of how our air is working to enhance the picture that we have. Okay. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, when it comes to air.
Absolutely, absolutely fantastic, this detail. And again, it's funny, a lot of this knowledge is, I mean, frankly, also in sync with some of the studies that Arnold Jacob presented as well.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
because you can't actually change the design of your anatomy that God gave you. It doesn't change.
Yes.
You're born with your size, you're born with your lips, you're born with your lung size, and that's what you got.
Yeah.
You can make it more relaxed, you can try to whatever, but you can't really change that. So that's very interesting. Well, I'm going to ask some questions.
Sure.
Well, you responded to that, yeah, using a bigger instrument, this could possibly increase, um, you know, uh, uh, the needs at least. But so let's just say that what you've described was an incredible, uh, detailed sequence for a comeback that was successful. But let's say that you are, thrusted into a situation where you have to play, you know, 2 bars of a sustained note at forte.
Mm-hmm.
And you're playing on equipment that's like 2 times to 3 times larger.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, it is the application of, or excuse me, is the accumulation of more air beyond that automatic, recoil process. I'm saying recoil, meaning that
Mm-hmm.
you demonstrated how the diaphragm, you expel the air, and then you breathe in. The diaphragm pushes everything down.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess my question is it possible to compensate even more during that recoil process?
Yes. In the sense of, and I want to explain it like this. In the sense of what you allow to happen, right? So if I allow myself to continue to fill up, that's what will happen. And when we are filling up, really what we're doing is creating space, We're creating space for things to be able to expand as much as they need to, more than we are creating the action of the expansion, if that makes sense.
Actually, it does. And so I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
I'm known as a physical player.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get tired here,
Mm.
but oftentimes when I've finished performing, I feel like I've run a marathon.
Mm.
But mainly, from my chest down, and that's
Mm-hmm.
because I, when I go out to sixth and seventh position, for example, instead of creating tension with my arm, I just move slightly to the right to give myself an open, a physical open, angle. And then when I breathe, I have a tendency to sometimes turn just slightly to create space.
Mm-hmm.
I turn my thorax to create space.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was curious if, you mentioned that before, letting it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do you see the benefit in, let's say contorting? I'm going to now turn. I've been recording and taking photos, of course, because this is so wonderful. I can't thank you enough. So, for example, in the case, if I'm going to take a breath, I wouldn't. I don't. I have a sofa here behind me.
Yeah.
I can't go back any further.
I got
But
you.
if I were to take a breath, I don't know if you can see me completely here.
Yep, I got you.
Okay, so I usually tend to go like this. I I I actually you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I sort of lift my cavity. I slightly twist a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And as I blow, like this, and then if I have to play in the outward position, I instead of doing like this, I
Mm-hmm.
simply turn like this. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I
Okay.
turn because because what Glenn Dotson taught us is that it your arm, when you turn with the slide in your arm like this, you actually gain distance on the slide.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Makes sense.
it's exactly, it's a very natural process. But in doing so, also, I noticed that it allows me to continue moving my air naturally as well because I'm not tensed like this.
Well, I'll just stop you right there. Look at your body's alignment
Yeah.
when you're like this. See, so when you do this, now you're in line.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why it works.
Yeah.
So once again, it's your body teaching you efficiency. Could
Right.
you breathe like this? Yeah, but it's more efficient to do that. Why? Because now you are more in line with how you naturally are.
Right.
So
This is amazing.
that's what it is.
And yeah, forgive me. Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
Dion, this is really mind blowing. I don't know how much the students are learning. I hope that you guys are learning and thinking, as much as I am about this amazing conversation and master class that Dion is giving us here today. Um, you know, when I was in CIVEBRA physically there in Brasilia, which is far away from where I am right now, there is a friend, the wife of the violin faculty member. His name is Egon, and his wife is Christine, and she is a martial artist. And it was amazing.
As was I.
Yeah. So she was, she's American, and her husband is Brazilian, but he studied at Carnegie Mellon, and great guy, and his wife is wonderful, and anyhow, so she was watching my class, and she told to some of my students. I asked her if she had an opinion or an observation to give about what she saw, and I was surprised. She was not a trombone player. She is not a trombone player, rather, and she picked up on the fact of how I move as I play.
Mm-hmm.
as I breathe and how I would, turn. And, you know, I, in general, in the trombone community, I've seen very rarely anyone else sort of acknowledge or even, teach that. But this is something I learned from my teacher, Glenn Dotson,
Mm-hmm.
who comes from
Mm-hmm.
that legendary
Yeah.
Chicago section.
Yeah.
And he was there with Edward Kleinhammer and with
Mm-hmm.
Arnold Jacobs. So
Mm-hmm.
this knowledge has been around, you know.
Yes.
But I've noticed that with the reinvention, everyone reinventing everything,
Yes.
and so it's funny you're saying that you developed dystonia through a series of basically habits that frankly a lot of people have developed through recent years of new age teaching.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm talking. I mean, and as I listen to, I know you're younger than I am. I'm 52.
Okay.
Now, and
Mm.
but as I listen to you and as I watch you, I'm thinking, this guy has the knowledge of the old times. This is what and Jan
Mm.
Kagras, of course, was
Yeah.
around Vern, and so
Yep.
this is like taking pedagogy back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Decades, not
Yes.
something
Yes.
invented with the internet age.
Correct.
So
Correct.
thank.
And much is the reason why I started the chop shop, because I was like, why is nobody talking about this? Why? Why have every lesson, trombone lesson, and I've had amazing teachers, but nobody is, I'd never heard anything like that. So I know from my experience, what I went through, I would not want anybody to go through what I went through. Not a single person. I know that I'm a strong person. I'm a multi-talented person. I have other things that I could do besides playing the trombone. I still would not. It was the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. The hardest thing. It was also the greatest thing I ever had to go through in my life.
Yeah, and just to clarify, you mean the hardest thing you ever had to do was to retrain yourself?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. To have to go through this process as an experienced player, as somebody who thought they knew what they were doing, so that is it's humbling. But it teaches you that music is our teachers. Music is what teaches us. It's bigger than the notes on the page, much bigger. And we are just vessels for that. We're not the creators, we're just part of it. And the more that we can understand that we are part of what is happening and not the reason that it is happening, then we can stay in line with everything that is going on, and it becomes easy. I never thought playing the trombone would be easy. Still not easy, but it's a lot easier than I thought it was. A lot easier. Brass playing in general is a lot easier than we make it. A
Yeah.
lot easier.
Yeah.
Um,
Glenn Dotson used to say that he used to say, "I never thought that I would make so much money blowing warm air through a piece of brass tubing."
you know?
Blowing warm air through a piece of brass tubing. That is literally how he summed up brass
hmm
playing.
hmm
That is just, yeah, you know.
it totally agreed. And one more point, that just one more thing that I want to talk about with you guys, because I know it's going to be important to the community. So we covered buzzing, we covered air. I just want to briefly touch on articulation, only because I know it's a thing and I know it's something that a lot of people talk about. I'm going to simplify it for you. Articulation is nothing more than an embellishment of a long tone.
Ah, that's great.
Articulation is nothing more than an embellishment of long tones. What do I mean? Okay. When we talk about articulation, our focus comes to what our tongue is doing. We call it tonguing. I've stopped saying tonguing in my nomenclature. I only say articulation now because tonguing brings the focus to what the tongue is doing and how the tongue is functioning. Now, we should know our tongue as the muscle is a little bit slower to react than everything else. It's a little bit slower. So if we put the thought process of what is the tongue doing on top of a slightly slower reaction, then we have a hard time tonguing. We're creating a barrier, a little extra barrier when we're tonguing. When we think about playing a long tone, you're just thinking about the air going. The tongue is only going to embellish that. Da, 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 da. That's it. It's more important to get your tongue out of the way than what you do with it. Because what sound does the tongue make? Nothing. The tongue doesn't make a sound. So why are we thinking about our tongue making a sound? It doesn't make the sound. It only embellishes. Da, da, ta, ta, whatever syllable. It is an embellishment of a long tone. So do not think about what your tongue is doing. Think about how to get your tongue out of the way after it's embellished the long tone. The sound of articulation is not here. It's here. What the articulation sounds like is what's coming out of the bell, not what's happening in the mouthpiece. So the sound of the articulation is what our ears pick up on. So those are three different articulations, right? I'm going to do first one, I'll do breath attacks. Second one, I'll use da. Third one, I'll say ta, T, of breath first. Da. Ta. Now I'm going to mix it up. You see if you can figure out which one. Very subtle differences in the sound. All different embellishments of the airstream. So when we articulate, whether it be legato, staccato, whatever, judge the articulation by the sound that is happening at the bell, not what your tongue is doing. Okay? Create a short note. Who cares what my tongue did? The note was short. I mean, Does it matter? Like, really? Does it matter? No, the note was short. And I'm not saying that works for, because some things need to be really short or really whatever. But people don't care what you're doing. They care what it sounds like. So I want us to keep our focus of attention when we play what's happening out here at the bell, because our listeners are what deserve that. The people listening to us deserve the purity of what's coming out of here, not hearing us trying to manipulate what's happening here in the mouthpiece. All right. And on that point, I'm going to stop and open it up for whatever questions you got.
Yeah. Gente, olha, eu tenho que confessar para vocês, ok? Sinceramente, vocês me conhecem. Eu sou trombonista baixo, sabe dar os S. Já toquei com a Orquestra da Filadélfia, já toquei com a Orquestra Sinfônica de Baltimore, a Orquestra Sinfônica de San Francisco, já viajei pelo mundo todo, já dei aula, sabe? Eu já dei aula, sabe, no Indiana University, no Curtis, New England Conservatory. Eu tenho, assim, eu faço parte do posição de couple, junto com o Joe e o Blair. Eu confesso para vocês, esse masterclass do Dion realmente me surpreendeu. Eu não tinha combinado com ele. Assim, eu conheço. A gente participamos no mesmo conjunto, sabe, virtual, chama The Black Excellence Trombone Choir. Mas, assim, antes disso, eu não conheci ele. Conheci ele a partir desse conjunto. E ele me convidou para fazer uma entrevista uma vez com ele. Eu estou, assim, praticamente sem palavras, porque muitas coisas que ele está dizendo, embora que veio de uma necessidade para ele repreender como tocar, estão absolutamente em linha com o sábio, o grande sábio dos mestres com quem eu dependo e que eu refiro. Arnold Jacobs, Edward Kleinhammer, Glenn Dotson e até também Jay Friedman e também Frank Crisafulli. Não tem diferença. O gênero que ele faz é música popular. Mas o que ele acabou de apresentar aqui é nada menos do que o melhor, a primeira apresentação, explicação e o melhor conceito de pedagogia para tocar qualquer tipo de instrumento de metal. Ele abriu a mesa para perguntas. Eu acho, no mínimo, nós merecemos, ou ele merece o nosso aplauso. Eu imploro todos vocês de abrir as suas câmeras e também microfones e vamos dar um aplauso para ele antes de receber essas perguntas. So, Dion, I really wanted them to understand from me, how heartfelt and how amazed I am at what this experience has brought. This is the last day. In fact, I extended my time. In fact, I'm not even supposed to be giving a lesson today or presenting anyone. This was something that, I thought was really worthwhile. And man, I mean, I mean, talk about hitting the lottery. You know what I mean? Oh,
man.
Oh, yeah. So we have somebody who is a Marcel Marques no dia do meu aniversário. Feliz aniversário, Marcel. We have a birthday person here. Marcel is, yes, your birthday.
Happy birthday, my brother.
Birthday. Happy birthday, brother. Ele falou.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So,
Yes,
bom, gente, ele está aqui sem dúvida, ele consegue esclarecer qualquer coisa. Vocês querem realmente perguntar algo? Essa figura aqui não é nada, ele não é nem assim, até pode até achar que ele mais profundo até em relação de alguns dos outros, sabe, que vieram, sabe? So, é um momento. Alguém tem alguma dúvida, pergunta, ou simplesmente quer falar alguma coisa?
Darren, eu
Yes.
vou então aproveitar e falar. Vou falar primeiro em inglês, depois eu faço a tradução. Hey, Jill, I'm very glad to be here. First of all, watching your lecture, your master class, but also making the translation. 3 years ago, when you and the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra came here, yeah. I was the first guy to buy the tickets. I spent the whole night in front of the computer so to buy tickets. And when I got the opportunity, I bought 3 tickets for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And people asked me, but are you going to see the same concert 3 times? And yes, 3 times. I would see it every day. So 3 years after that, I'm very happy to be here. That was the best concert I ever had. So I'm really happy to see you again and now help you to make your masterclass beautiful lecture, beautiful class. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the support and for all the translation. I'm sorry if I went too fast in the beginning. I tried to slow down, but thank you so much for the support. I really love Brazil, and I can't wait to do this in person. One day I'm coming to your country and I'm invading the trombone community.
Bom, eu recomendaria para quem que está aqui, sabe, que está participando ou assistindo às palestras, sabe, de CIVEBRA, óbvio, eu indicaria qualquer um dos convidados que eu apresentei para vocês, mas com certeza alguém, eu nem sei, eu peço desculpa por minha ignorância, as coisas estavam tão corridas, sabe, com o festival. Eu confesso que eu nem sei, além da Proveta, eu não sei quem mais estava dando aula especificamente para trombone na área de popular e jazz. Existia? Teve o professor só para isso? Alguém pode me responder?
Eu sei que tem professores, Darren, muito voltados para a área de popular, né? Para trompete mesmo, a gente teve o Moisés Alves, que além de tocar na orquestra, é um grande jazzista, toca muito brasileira. Aí ele deu um curso mais voltado para isso.
Bom, eu recomendaria que, assim, o nome dele é Dion Tucker. Veja realmente nas minhas redes sociais, sabe, o post que eu fiz. Ele realmente é uma pessoa com banda ou sozinho que vale a pena, sabe? Eu vejo muitas vezes que o Ministério do Exterior traz, sabe, pessoas que normalmente as pessoas nem conhecem, mas assim, trazendo o banda do Wynton Marsalis, uma pessoa como ele, vale a pena. Vale a pena, gente, sabe? Vale a pena, sabe? Assim, independente do gênero que for, assim, eu indicaria e assino embaixo, sabe, a presença dele no Brasil seria fantástico. Eu espero que um festival como CIVEBRA, sabe, vai globalizar, sabe, uma programação que vai ter, sabe, um professor por volta realmente da orquestra sinfônica, outra realmente na área acadêmica e com certeza alguém, sabe, da área de popular e jazz que também pode contribuir muito, sabe, na área de pedagogia. Assim, a explicação e demonstração foi absolutamente incrível. Eu estou maravilhado, sabe, por isso e orgulhoso. Estou muito orgulhoso, sabe, de ter um irmão, sabe, dos Estados Unidos que veio, assim, fazer uma entrega dessa, sabe, forma. So, Dion, I just tell you, I cannot say enough for how extremely impressed I am at you.
Thank you.
And my age permits me to call you a young man.
Yes, yes. I'll take it
So,
for as long as I can.
and you know, and I, I tell you, I really respect the hell out of you, and you just, you just nailed it, and you're doing it. Your story as a comeback is inspiring to anyone, independent of their instrument.
Thank you.
Your humility as an individual is also a testament to your character, which is a true humility. It takes true humility to actually uh, go to the basics, to seek
Mhm.
help, to seek help, and
Yeah.
you know, and not to mention your delivery. Your delivery and demonstration for me was absolutely fantastic. And it's interesting. Brittany Lash was with us yesterday. Brittany
Hmm.
Lash,
Yeah.
and and she said that one thing that she does often is she criticizes herself. She's
Mm.
she'll give a class and she's always thinking about, did I say that right? Did I explain the right way? If
Yeah.
she plays, she's whatever, there was so much wisdom in what she said, because it's true. We often sometimes get wrapped up in certain things,
Yes.
and that's not healthy
Yes.
also.
Yes.
And you seem very resolved and resolute in what you have discovered, because it works, and you're sharing it with everyone. I think it's absolutely wonderful.
Oh.
So
It's like I said, it's a true honor to be able to speak with you, all of you today, and to be able to share this knowledge. It really is a passion of mine. I always love teaching. I've taught many things. I've taught martial arts, I've taught trombone, I've taught photography. And the art of teaching is a thing. It is something. I realized that it's something that I was pretty good, or mostly I felt comfortable doing it. But having focal dystonia really made me realize this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. What I'm
that's
doing with you guys, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And you just know, like in your heart, when you know it's right, you just know. So we're supposed to do half an hour. We're 2.5 hours into it.
Oh, that's
It's
okay. Hey, hey,
it's I'm
dude,
sorry, but
yeah.
it just felt right. So I apologize to everybody.
Listen. A week ago, Jay Friedman, who is now Jay Friedman. I'm trying to remember what Wagner said. I think he's like already at the 90 point, possibly
Wow.
even like 91 or something.
Wow.
At least in his 80s. At least definitely for sure in his
Hmm.
80s. But so uh the collective, the Brazilian trombone collective, invited him for a talk,
Hmm.
and they were scheduled for 1 hour.
Hmm.
At the 3 hour mark, he, he still wasn't ready to stop. He kept
Yeah.
going, and they had to ask him, what I mean, to end the class, because Jay Friedman had so much to offer. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I had
So,
so much
yeah,
more, but I was like, let me keep
yeah,
it. I had
no,
notes.
but
These
yeah.
are the notes. This was supposed to be it. That was more than that.
No, but thank you so much. I would
It's
like to
absolutely my
I
pleasure.
want to take a photo of everyone on the screen here. Se
For
todo mundo
sure.
pode abrir as câmeras, se for possível, para a gente tirar uma foto aqui, ok? Muito obrigado. So, Benjamin, tem como
Mhm.
você abrir a câmera também? Benjamin Mendes. É. So, tem como colocar? Okay, so here we go. Okay, here we go. Uma foto here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, again, 1, 2. Fantastic, man.
Yes.
I don't know what to say. I'll be honest with you. It's speech, but there was the only reason why I had even the right I think to say anything is because there's so much of what you offer today that is in line, and I'm not a jazz player. All I do is rap. You know what I mean? I like to play table tennis. I like to rap. You know what I mean? And I play in an orchestra. You know,
Yeah.
so
but we all play trombone, you know, which is
exactly.
the common, as they said, we put warm air through metal. You know,
exactly.
so
Exactly. Yeah, Glenn Dotson's phrase. You know,
that's right.
Blowing warm air through a piece of brass tubing.
Yep.
That's it.
That's what we do. That's what we do. So I can't wait till the world is back and I can come and work with you guys individually.
I can't wait either.
It's going to be fantastic. But until then, I hope everybody stays safe, you know, stay healthy. Don't go crazy trying with practice and not, you know, keep your overall health as a human being together so that when we get back to playing music, we're just in a better place than we were before.
That is fantastic. By the way, can I ask which discipline in martial arts do you?
Oh, yeah, I did a Krav Maga, which is Israeli self-defense.
Wow.
So it's a mixture of boxing, hapkido, jujitsu. It's a hybrid of like everything. But
it's sort of like, is this sort of like Kenpo?
No. Krav Maga is different because it was designed for the military and the police. So it's designed to help you protect yourself on the street. It's not a sport. So yeah, it's self-defense. It's a little bit different, but so my instructor was a musician. He was a drummer and he taught very much like music, and he made us all teach. If we had to take a test, you had to teach the class to make sure that you knew what you were doing.
Good point.
All of these things like stick with me, stuck with me for sure.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much, brother, for this.
It was absolutely my pleasure.
I'm looking forward to things. You know, I thought that maybe, well, first, I just need to, let me address the class. So, vocês que estão aqui, em primeiro lugar, eu estou honrado que vocês tivessem interesse de vir para participar hoje de manhã, sabe? Do meu coração, muitíssimo obrigado pela presença de vocês. Sabe, para falar o menos, foi uma honra, sabe, enorme para mim de ter alguma participação com o CIVEBRA, e especialmente como professor. Assim, estou sem palavras quanto realmente gratidão que eu tenho para Dion Tucker e os demais convidados que vieram, sabe, participar. Também o Vinícius, sabe, muito obrigado, a equipe também da CIVEBRA, a direção. Eu realmente espero a oportunidade de retornar presencial e ou virtual, sabe, com vocês no futuro. Eu espero que realmente vocês vão, assim, eu sei que vocês adoraram, provavelmente a maioria, se não todos os convidados, mas vamos dar um apoio para esse irmão, sabe? Porque realmente eu acho que as pessoas vão adorar, assim, de ter ele, sabe? Especialmente porque tem músicos da área popular e jazz. Esse é o cara. Esse é o cara. Bom, e assim, eu estou aqui, para quem que não, sabe, me conhece, eu vou colocar aqui no chat para vocês todas o número meu, ok? Esse é meu celular, ok? O celular do meu trabalho. E aí esse é meu e-mail, ok? Dion, do you have, like, quickly the link to the Chop Shop website to put here in the chat?
Sure. Let me pull that up
Please.
real quick.
Okay. And then, e aí eu tenho uma proposta, sabe, para encerrar essa aula, se o Vinícius pode deixar rolar. Eu gostaria de compartilhar com vocês um conjunto que eu cheguei a colaborar junto com o Dion, chama o The Black Excellence Trombone Choir. É uma produção em que ele mesmo, está tocando como ele toca o solo em algum momento. Eu achei fantástico isso. Eu pensei nisso, sabe, para mostrar para final, entendeu? Se vocês estão de acordo com isso. Eu acho que ele compartilhou isso para vocês. Perfeito. So, Dion, I would like to close, actually, with sharing with them Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Yeah.
And, to close out. And if that's okay with you.
Yeah, man, let's check it out.
Okay.
I haven't seen that in a minute.
Yeah. So, Vinícius, o que seria melhor? Seria melhor, talvez, você mais inteligente. Talvez, eu vou colocar o link, ou você já tem?
Não tem. Me manda pelo WhatsApp, eu compartilho aqui.
Eu acho melhor, porque cada vez que eu tento compartilhar alguma coisa, acaba sendo muito mal. So, deixa eu ver aqui. So, here we go. Lift every voice. Black. Ok. Isso, achei. Ok. Vinícius, achei. Ok. Perfeito. Ok. So, deixa eu sair daqui. Ok, perfeito. Recebeu, Vinícius?
Recebi. Vou iniciar agora o compartilhamento.
Ok. Porque eu sempre erro no som e tudo. Vinícius, você
Oi?
colocou para compartilhar o som da gravação, porque parece que está meio distorcida aí.
Tinha colocado. Deixa eu ver aqui. Bom, vamos ver agora se fica um pouco melhor. Melhorou?
Dion.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's cutting in and out a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be easier to send that link to everybody and have them check it out.
And then they can watch it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that might be easier. So they can get the full experience of that.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You know what it sounded like.
I was gonna say, I'm going to só um minutinho, Vinícius, pode parar essa, eu vou fazer o seguinte. So here we go. Ok. Bom, gente, eu pensei que a gente poderia assistir junto, mas realmente é melhor sem o som distorcido. É engraçado, Vinícius, o Zoom, eu não sei o que acontece, mas eu já passei por essa experiência muitas vezes. Eu tento mostrar alguma coisa com som e distorce, mesmo compartilhando, sabe, o áudio do original.
Bom, eu também não sei o que aconteceu aí, mas acho que não captou bem, né?
So, gente, a gente colocou aqui, sabe, o YouTube para você assistir. Nós vamos, sabe, despedir, então. O Vinícius, só deixa alguns minutinhos. Gente, copia, sabe, esse chat, sabe? Simplesmente entra ali e coloca controle A, aí controle C, aí você pode, sabe, jogar dentro de um texto, entendeu? Aí vocês vão ter não somente a conversa, mas até também, e também essas informações extremamente importantes, mas também todos os links, entendeu? E também os contatos para vocês. Deixa eu ver se eu consegui funcionar. Isso. É isso mesmo. Deu tudo certo. Ok? Foi isso que eu fiz. Eu simplesmente fiz Ctrl A no teclado, aí depois Ctrl C e deu certo. Ok? Bom, é isso, gente. Bom fim de semana a todos. Mais uma vez, muito obrigado. Dion, brother, you're fantastic. I'm so
Thank you.
proud. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, and everybody. You can find me at the Chop Shop. It has all my links to all the social media. I am always posting stuff weekly, at least once a week. I'm putting something up there, so have at it. Have fun. And if you want to study with me, you can set up a lesson through that, and it's for you. It's not about me teaching you my thing. We're going to find the best way for you, whatever that way is. I'm just here to help, so reach out if you need that resource. I'm glad to help you.
Great.
All right. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Have a great day. All right. Later on.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Lisa, sou uma baiana, que fica maravilhoso. Então, está todo mundo convidado para assistir.